Okay, my dudes. I really hope that everything is okay. Dear God, maybe the audio is messed up. Okay, it looks like the audio hopefully is okay. So I just had to reset everything for the stream. It took me maybe an hour to get this going. But regardless, tonight is going to be a fantastic night. I just have to pull up the live chat real quick just to make sure that we are good to go, just to make sure that these drafts are going to go down. So guys, let me know if y'all can hear me. And as we pull that up, let me also go through and just send out the link to our first live draft. If y'all are new here, guys, I mean, we have a big thing going on. We are live streaming every single night. Real money fantasy football drafts. These are not mock drafts. These are all real money fantasy football drafts. We are live streaming every single night until the start of the season. We're doing multiple drafts every single night. So if you're watching this and this is 3 weeks old, just know we're live streaming tonight. I'm live streaming every single night. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out when we are live streaming. You can hop in these drafts with me. So let's send out this first link. I'm going to send out the first one over there on Patreon, and then we can just get the other ones going in the YouTube live chat. Okay, so that is sent out. Let's switch this draft board over here. Actually, you know what I should do? I should let people know on Discord that we are live. That's sent out at the same time. And now let's pull up this draft board. You're going to see that this gets filled extremely quickly. So yeah, and guys, tonight is a big deal because if you check out our subscriber count, there's a chance we hit 30,000 subscribers tonight. There is a chance, and there's also a chance that they want to give me the 111 for about the millionth draft in a row. Don't give me the 101. Who cares? Don't give me the 112. I'm actually not going to complain that much because while this is my first draft live streaming, I will be completely honest. While I was supposed to be making videos today, while I was supposed to be making podcasts, I still made like 8 podcasts today and we still made a video. But I have been drafting so much. I cannot help myself. I guess it's because we have preseason football that, I mean, I have the itch. I'm sitting around here and I am just literally drafting all day. I'm just drafting, replying to Patreon messages, drafting, replying to Patreon messages. The dual monitor system is the best thing that probably has ever happened to us, to be completely honest. But yeah, we're going to be drafting here at the 111. So no need to see that. Okay. And we also need to slide this up. Like I said, guys, I had to reset the entire stream. So we're going to have a few adjustments that we're having to make as we get this going. Okay, so let's move that way. Let's pull this down. Sorry for this. I know it's probably a big eyesore, me doing this, but guys, I had to reset the stream. Don't blame me for this one. I'm just happy that I was even able to get the stream up, to be completely honest. Let me pull this up on my phone. How does that look? I think maybe we're not even touching the bottom of the screen there. This is something that I should have probably done a private draft, a private stream to figure this out before we went live. But I mean, I wanted to go live like an hour and a half ago. I wanted to get 5 drafts in possibly tonight. So we are not at the bottom. Let's just pull it down a little bit. Yeah, that will be the view. Let me copy and paste this and we'll go and put it on the other display board. So we're going to switch this over here. Let me copy, paste that, delete this one, and move. Okay, give me 1 second here, guys. I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it. Okay, so there we go. I think that we should be set up, not as optimal as it usually is, but we'll get it going for tomorrow night's stream. And now at the 111, I have a new strategy that I've been wanting to play with, because I will say that in those $1 million drafts that you're doing on Underdog, where y'all know there's the $1 million tournament, where yes, it's a very small chance that you hit the $1 million bonus, but that's what I've been drafting all day because I really just want to be the $1 million winner. That way I can come out and I can tell everybody in a video, hey, look at me. I'm a genius. I won $1 million playing fantasy football. So I want it more for the bragging rights, to be completely honest. But a big thing that I've noticed in those leagues is you actually have the wide receivers going off significantly earlier than you have in these formats. So I'm going to try to maybe in a few of these drafts, try out some new strategies. We're going to go through, maybe try to take some wide receivers early. That way we can feel comfortable with that strategy if we want to go receiver, and then get running backs later on. So we're going to get a Stephon Diggs here at the 111. Now, when we see Calvin Ridley go off the board and Nick Chubb, yes, in theory, could go with the DeAndre Hopkins. And I actually tried that start in one of those $1 million drafts earlier today. But here instead, we're going to be going with an Austin Eckler to pair with Stephon Diggs in our first and second round. Now let's switch this back over and My God, this is just an ugly view. This is an ugly view. I have to do something to fix this, guys. I have to figure this out. Let's pull it down like that. Maybe if we just go all the way down. No. Okay. Oh, I think we're getting it there. Let me know what y'all think about that. Let me know if we're missing some at the bottom and I need to pull it down a little bit. But this is frustrating. I have no idea how we had it set up correctly in the last one, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, so after we go Eckler, you see DeAndre Hopkins. That would have been the other player that we would have considered. Jonathan Taylor actually has been rising up my rankings significantly. Now, a big reason we go Austin Eckler over Jonathan Taylor here is I've actually drafted Jonathan Taylor significantly more, considering we were able to get him at the end of the second round in a few drafts just a week ago. So we kind of took advantage of the Jonathan Taylor panic. I will be willing to draft him in the late first, early second in a lot of other drafts. But here we have very little Austin Eckler, so I will be going Eckler at the 202. Okay, so now we have a run on running backs. You got Mixon, Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson very, very, very rarely falls down this far. Maybe this is due to the usage that J.D. McKissic actually had in the passing game last year. That could be a little concerning. And also, guys, just a quick side note. If you have not dropped a like on this stream, what are you doing? Go down there, fix your life, drop a like, help us get to 30,000 subscribers tonight. There's a small chance that we get there. And speaking of getting to 30,000 subscribers, let me turn this chat on to subscriber only. Let's do everything we can to get there. I need to actually pull up my phone real quick and drop a like from my phone because y'all know I am a maniac. And Darren Waller at the 209 to pair with an Alvin Kamara. See, this is what I'm talking about. Let's also go back to the top of the draft. Seeing a Derrick Henry go at the 103, I simply can't get behind that. I mean, I would rather have Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams, and Ezekiel Elliott all over Derrick Henry. I really can't consider him there whatsoever. And in an underdog format, I honestly would probably have Travis Kelce as well. Okay, but let's go through. Let's give some shout outs to the people in this draft right now. Okay, so we have pretty much all regulars. Y'all know the first draft that we do every night is through Patreon, so you're going to find the regular people out here. But Girthquake was able to make it out. Thomas Wade was able to make it out. If y'all don't know who Girthquake and Thomas Wade are, Thomas Wade is actually the video editor full-time for this channel, makes all our videos, which is obviously extremely helpful. I mean, I would not be able to go through and do these drafts all day if it wasn't for Thomas editing the videos. So thank you again for that, my man. And then Girthquake here, you may know him in the Patreon chat as Noah G. You may know him as Girthquake, really a man of multiple different names. He actually made this sign that is currently behind us. And at the same time, he's making an Underdog sign for us as well. It's most likely going to find its place in the studio. But yeah, happy. We got a lot of people out here. We also have a lot of other Patreon members. These are all Patreon members of the Flock community. Now we have CeeDee Lamb going at the 303. Lamb is someone that I've seen fall as of late. Now, I haven't seen him necessarily fall behind someone like a David Montgomery. At the 302, definitely going to be a little too rich for me to consider going David Montgomery there, especially when you know that you're going to have options at running back coming back to you. Like you could have a Miles Sanders at the 411. You could have someone like a Josh Jacobs, whereas the wide receiver fall off is going to be so significant that I prefer getting an A.J. Brown here at the 302 compared to a David Montgomery. And honestly, it's not even that bold of a call for me. But let's go through. Let's pull this up right here and let's switch it back. And now when we're going to be picking at the turn, essentially. So we have Chimichanga drafting between us, but we have the luxury of really going a couple different ways. So DeAndre Swift goes. So Amari Cooper has been someone that's been rising up my rankings now. A couple things. A, with Amari, I mean, coming off the PUP, obviously a big deal. B, with Amari, we have Dak Prescott. The reports on his shoulder are looking positive. Now, I know we're talking about a lot of reports about injuries, which, of course, at this time of the year, you never want that to ever be in the dialogue, but still, it's going to be important. And here Chris Carson goes. So I actually think that we have a pretty easy decision to go with the Cooper Kupp. So we're going to go and start this draft. Eckler, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper. Now, another wide receiver that I would consider here, and if I was only drafting one team, I'd possibly take a Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, someone I'm significantly higher compared to consensus this season. But a big thing is, I mean, here with a Cooper Kupp, very rarely are we going to have the option to draft him at the 402 because we've been seeing him sneak into the third round. And some of those $1 million drafts that I did the other day, we actually had him going before a Robert Woods. which I think now when we have the potential to take a Cooper Kupp at the 402, continues to rise in ADP, we're going to take advantage. Okay. So what we need to do on this screen apparently is we need to zoom out a little bit. I think that's the problem that we actually have here. I think we zoomed in too much, and maybe we just need to scroll. I don't know how we fix this. Why does this sucker look so dang bad compared to how we usually have it? Let me know what y'all are thinking that I can do to make it better. So honestly, this view is a little bit better. We're going to copy and paste this, and I know y'all are probably so annoyed with me right now for doing this, but this is the pain. This is my struggle. Okay, so let's move this down here. And then I believe we just removed this one. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I like that a little bit more. At least maybe we did nothing, but it is what it is. And Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, DJ Moore, Julio Jones go off the board here. So this is what I was talking about. If we go back to the 302, when we look at that David Montgomery selection, and the big thing with Montgomery is just, I think that the wide receivers that you're going to be looking at when you're at this 4-5 turn compared to an AJ Brown or a CeeDee Lamb, they're going to be a clear tier down, if not multiple tiers. Whereas the difference between a David Montgomery and a Miles Sanders for me, or a David Montgomery and a player like a Travis Etienne, I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but it's not a world different. I mean, it's not massive. So maybe if you want to go running back, and you want to just load up on the position and get a lot of wide receivers later, then sure, take a David Montgomery at the 302. But I think when you go Montgomery at the 302 and you pass on an AJ Brown, if you're going to start taking receivers here at the 4-5 turn, because we pull up the receivers that are available right now, and you actually have someone like an Adam Thielen, a Deontay Johnson. So yeah, he goes in Adam Thielen. Let me know what y'all are thinking about that, because I'm viewing it and saying I would much prefer having the combination of AJ Brown and Miles Sanders compared to Adam Thielen and David Montgomery. But please, please, please let me know what y'all are thinking about that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, a lot of people are saying pop the window out. Okay, so if I pop the window out like this, we used to never do this, guys. I don't know, actually, I don't think I can pop the window out, because if y'all are talking about me pressing this button, it's going to mess with the display capture. I can't do that, guys. I can't do that. But let me know if this looks really bad. Let me know if this looks really bad, and I'll try to keep on messing with it, or if I just don't need to mess with it anymore and I can figure it out in the next stream. Okay, so Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne go at the beginning of the 5th. Odell Beckham Jr. goes at the 504. And a big thing that I want to talk about as well is when you take a Dalvin Cook here, you're not necessarily feeling any pressure whatsoever to get another running back, where maybe I'll actually feel pressure on this end to come away with a running back, considering our only guy is going to be an Austin Eckler, and we loaded up on receiver with Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, and Cooper Kupp. But I'm really going to be trying out the strategy a little bit more of just going with that one running back at the top, loading up with wide receivers, because let me know how many of y'all have hopped into those Best Ball Mania drafts where you go through, you realize that, I mean, people are wide receiver hungry. People are starving for wide receivers. Okay, so TJ Hawkinson at the 505, Odell at the 504. JN coming out with the donation says Sam Ehlinger, quarterback 1 for Indianapolis. My man, to be completely honest, did not get a chance to see a single snap for Sam Ehlinger. So please, guys, let me know if y'all have any opinions on him. Let me know if he looked any better or worse than Jacob Eason, because hey, maybe Sam Ehlinger actually gets a start in the NFL, which I would have never guessed. Okay, so Deontay Johnson goes to the 508. Robbie Anderson at the 509. Okay, so let's switch this back over. Let's look at who we are going to be drafting. Okay, so if we're going to the 511, the 602. I think that if we're going to be drafting a quarterback, this is the one build that we can do so, because if we look, we actually did end up taking a Stephon Diggs in the first. So I think if we want to take a Josh Allen here, it's completely fine, and it's most likely optimal to take an Allen. Y'all know I've been screaming to avoid Mike Davis and Myles Gaskin all offseason based on those being running backs that I don't necessarily believe the talent in. And at the same time, they're mainly just people that are going so high in drafts because they're projected to see a lot of opportunity, and we know that opportunity is very fluky. So if I was going to take a running back here, which I honestly think I might, I'm going to prefer someone like a Kareem Hunt. I know a lot of people are going to hate hearing that, but a big thing with the Hunt is I just think he has access to his ceiling that Mike Davis or Myles Gaskin simply don't possess. So I know a lot of people are going to hate this selection, but with the Kenny Golladay injury, I'm not necessarily dying to go with the receiver here. So I'm actually going to take on this turn Josh Allen and Kareem Hunt. I mean, I'm going to continue to go through and draft as many of them as I can. Okay, so yeah, we just had to go through, test out what the no cam's looking like. We may have to, God, this is going to be a frustrating stream. I'll say that, guys. If you have not dropped a like on this live stream yet, we are closing in on 30,000 subscribers. We may hit 30,000 subscribers tonight. Make sure you go down there and drop a like. Let me know how much you hate my Kareem Hunt selection at the 602. But like I said, guys, those running backs that just project to see opportunity in week one, while we think that historically it's a good bet to go through and just take those cheap running back touches, in reality, if you look over the past 5 to 10 years, what you find is those running backs, those touches aren't nearly as guaranteed as what they may seem to be. I know it's crazy to say, well, Mason, in Atlanta, who's going to get touches outside of Mike Davis? You're not going to tell me a Javion Hawkins or a Quadri Allison is going to be an impact player. And I'm sitting here going, they just might. They just might, to be completely honest. We have no idea. The range of outcomes is going to be very wide with running backs like a Mike Davis and Myles Gaskin, where you don't necessarily believe in the talent. So I think that we're honestly probably just going to be looking to avoid the entire situation. Okay, Derek says, what is Underdog? My man. Okay, so let me go through. I thought that we've explained Underdog enough, but I will be happy to go through and explain it for anybody who has not had a chance to play on Underdog Fantasy yet. In my opinion, it's by far and away the best place to play fantasy football in terms of drafting and getting better for your real league. But real quick, No Chill Bill coming out with a donation says, let's get to 30,000 tonight, fellas. Good to be out here, my man. I'm happy that you are out here as well. So let me go through, let's explain Underdog. So Underdog Fantasy Football is going to be, in my opinion, the best place to draft if you're either going to be playing in a lot of leagues, or say you have a couple leagues that you really care about, but you want to make sure that you're going to be a very good drafter going into those leagues. And at the same time, we are all in agreement here. If you're drafting against the computer, if you're drafting against people that are auto-selecting, you are literally doing nothing. You're not getting any practice whatsoever. If anything, you're just putting unrealistic expectations on how your draft is actually going to go. So I do not want to be drafting against those machines whatsoever. Instead, what you want to be doing is you want to be drafting against real people, and how you do that is on Underdog Fantasy, where you don't have to submit your starting lineup throughout the season. You actually can't submit your starting lineup throughout the season because they go through and they automatically submit the highest possible starting lineup for you at the end of the week. So if you have a Tyler Lockett randomly popping off for 50 points, then he'll slide into your wide receiver one slot. And that happens every single week. No waivers at the same time. So why I love Underdog is someone like myself, who I'm going to be playing in 250 drafts in, I can go through, and if I think that I'm a better drafter than most people, I can sit here and I can literally do 300 drafts by the time we get to the season. Because during the year, I'm not going to have to manage those leagues. And you're going to say, well, Mason, a big part of fantasy football and a lot of fun with fantasy football is going and doing the waiver wire. It's going and making those start-sit decisions. And I completely agree with you. I think that's some of the most fun part of fantasy football. Personally, I'm a big draft kind of guy. I love drafting. So you still play in the leagues that you have with your friends, with your buddies, where you do have the waiver wire, where you do make those start-sit decisions. I'm not telling you to get rid of those leagues. I'm not telling you to get rid of those platforms. I'm saying if you want to be a better drafter, then go play on Underdog Fantasy, and you'll go to your drafts and you will crush your league mates. And what's great is there's a glitch in the system right now in Underdog Fantasy. I have no idea when they're going to patch it. They told me they're not going to patch it for a very long time. So if you're watching this as a video a month from now, I bet you that glitch still works. If you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you get a couple things. When you make a $10 deposit, they add $25 to your account with promo code FLOCK. You get my 2021 draft guide, you get my 2021 rankings, you get my 2021 tiers, and you do something that supports the channel tremendously. So that's a brief rundown on Underdog Fantasy, so we can get that out of the way and we can be looking at our picks that we are going to have here at the 7-11-802. And when we start this team off, Josh Allen, Austin Eckler, Kareem Hunt, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp. Here, I honestly kind of like to see some of these running backs falling to us. Now, I don't necessarily know if we lock them in. Like I said, I've been trying to go a little more wide receiver heavy and go and structure my teams that way, because on Underdog Fantasy, we're not going to be doing any of these drafts on the live stream because I want to make sure that I'm drafting with y'all. But they have a contest where it's a $25 buy-in, and it's a tournament structure where they go through, and of course they still pay the winners for every league, but they're giving out guaranteed money at the same time. So if you win your league, you get a payment and you advance to the next round. And if you win that round, you get a payment, you advance to the round after that. You win that round, you get a payment, you advance to the last round. And if you win that round, you get $1 million. So I've been doing a ton of those drafts, just trying to come out here mainly because I want to be able to make a video and say, look at me, I made $1 million playing in a fantasy football draft, and I want to make a video about my draft. I daydream about that all the time. Just being able to have that title, being able to say I won Best Ball Mania. And in those drafts, you're seeing wide receivers go off so fast that you're getting like someone like a Zach Moss in the 12th round sometimes. And I'm sitting there going, my God, I hate that we ended up taking Kareem Hunt yeah, we got him in the 6th round, but right now that looks like bad value considering I'm having to take someone like Byron Pringle in the 14th. So I've been trying to structure my drafts a little differently where we're getting wide receivers earlier than we're used to. But here, that's not necessarily going to be a problem because running backs are going to be maybe more valuable than receivers, considering that we're not playing in that large field tournament, and instead that we're just going through and we're trying to structure these teams for the regular season. So now that we are on the clock here, I'm not going to be considering a Michael Thomas. So if I'm going best available receiver, I would be looking at a Curtis Samuel. And given the injury that we've had to Curtis Samuel, I'm not going to be going in that direction. I actually think that we get another running back in Michael Carter. So even though I said we were going to go very heavy on the receiver position so far, we just have not done that. So let's go through, let's show off this draft board. Here's going to be the top of the board. Now let's scroll down to show the bottom. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people are talking about Tim Tebow in the chat. Guys, did something happen with Tim Tebow that I did not see? Am I going to have to hear some people hyping up Tim Tebow? I will say, if you are drafting Tim Tebow in your fantasy drafts, I would love to play against you. I would love for you to come out here and meet me in the streets. Let's go. Let's get into some drafts together because you should not be drafting Tebow whatsoever. Like, Tebow's name shouldn't even be brought up in fantasy football. Okay, so Damian Harris, AJ Dillon. Okay, so Andrew says, Mason, is the drafting strategy for DraftKings Best Ball the same as Underdog? To be honest, man, I tried out DK and I did not like it whatsoever. So I haven't been going back there. I mean, I tried it out last year and the structure was just weird. The platform wasn't necessarily nearly as clean as Underdog. So I definitely prefer Underdog. So I'll say I have no idea what the strategy is going to be like over there because I'm very limited in the experience that I have in those drafts because I've been having so much fun on these Underdog ones. Okay, CDJ says, Tebow threw an awful quote-unquote block during the Jags game. It was making the rounds on Twitter earlier. Let me pull up this quote-unquote block. Let's pull it up and let's see exactly what people are getting excited about. Okay, let's go. And I know people get upset when you bring up Tim Tebow. Because if you talk good on Tim Tebow, there's going to be people that are upset with you saying, stop talking about Tim Tebow. If you talk bad on Tim Tebow, there are going to be some people with Tim Tebow tattoos yelling at you. Okay, wait. Are people actually excited about that? Or is that a... Are people like joking about the block? Is that like a troll thing that I don't necessarily understand? Let me know if I just don't get the joke. Let me know if I don't get the joke. Okay. So after we go Carter, you actually see Damian Harris, AJ Dillon, James Robinson going off the board. So I know a lot of people probably would prefer Damian Harris there. And I'm just going to have to sit here and I'm going to have to take the L on Michael Carter, where you know that I am victory lapping. I'm running up and down, running in circles, saying that we called the fact that Laviska Shenault should have been going higher than Michael Pittman, way higher than Michael Pittman in fantasy drafts so long ago when Michael Pittman was going ahead of him. So now if we are going to run our victory laps that we got that correct, as well as so many other things that y'all know I say in every video, so I don't have to bring them up now because I am just very arrogant. I have to sit here and I have to take my L's at the same time. I came out and I said that Michael Carter was actually a bad pick when he was going in the 9th, 10th round. And you're going to see me here taking him in the early 8th. And I'm completely fine with the value. And here with Michael Carter, I just have to say that I was wrong. I thought that it was going to be a more of a competition than it is in New York currently. It looks like Michael Carter, if he is a 4th round rookie, starting off training camp with the first team offense, that tells me all I need to know. That tells me that Michael Carter is the starter in New York. He can be a I want to say a discount 3-down running back is never going to be someone that you're very excited about playing, but I think he can provide you a baseline level of production. So yeah, I think that while I'm not jumping up and down to draft Michael Carter, I definitely have to come out here and I have to admit that I was wrong with where we had him ranked previously. And I'm just going to be taking my L, moving him up my rankings like y'all have already seen when I went through and sent out those updated rankings. Okay, Jayan says, Osaya bullied a right tackle who gave up 1 sack on the season. Something Cam Jordan / Joey Bosa / failed to do, blah, blah, blah. The Brady sack, I DM'd you. My man, I told you, you need to make a video like this. I know you get so excited about this. And I'm telling you, on your YouTube channel, if you just make videos about that stuff that you get excited about, I think that's going to be the most entertaining thing that people can watch, is literally just what you're getting excited about. I bet you a lot of other Texas fans will as well. So if I were you, I'd make a video just recapping it. We can talk about what possibly to title it later if you want help coming up with that. I mean, if you want help coming up with that. But yeah, let's talk about that later though. Okay. So we're going to go with the Russell Gage at the 9-11. This is another thing that y'all know I've been on the train in saying that we actually think that, I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but Kyle Pitts overrated in fantasy. And if you're going to be looking at the volume of what you're going to expect from that offense, if we think that Kyle Pitts is overrated, the targets have to go somewhere. And I think that we will be willing to make that bet on a Russell Gage. We're also going to be getting a Devontae Parker here. Now, we have yet to draft a tight end, but honestly, there are so many tight ends that I'm not necessarily too concerned about the value that we can find later on. So yeah, we're going to go with a Russell Gage, Devontae Parker at that turn. So let me know what y'all are thinking of this team so far. I can go through, I can show y'all the entire draft board if you're just now coming into the live stream. And also, if you are just now coming into the live stream, make sure you go down there and you drop that like. We are going to pass, hopefully, we are going to pass 30,000 subscribers tonight. We need like 110. So if you want to see that happen, we have gotten over 100 subscribers in multiple live streams before, but you better be dropping that like. You better be getting us recommended to some new listeners. Okay. So after we take you to Devontae Parker, you have Rondale Moore, who Rondale Moore looked very exciting in that preseason game. You cannot overlook that. Matthew Stafford at the 10:04, Henry Ruggs at the 10:05. And if you just think about it, this underdog format where you go through, you understand that those players that are going to be seeing those random spike weeks like Henry Ruggs, they are going to be a lot more valuable than what you would actually have with another player that is a little more consistent, because when you're playing in a regular fantasy football league, Henry Ruggs, while yes, he may be appealing in terms of he's going to have a couple random games where maybe he goes over 25 fantasy points. Good luck figuring out when those are going to come. But in an underdog format, those are automatically going to slide into your starting lineup. So you have to understand that players like Henry Ruggs are a little more valuable in this particular format because they do have access to those spike weeks. Pretty much just anybody with an extremely high average depth of target that is going to be very volatile on a week-to-week basis. Those are going to be the guys that you're looking to bump up slightly with your value. Okay. So Melvin Gordon goes all the way at the 10:09. To be honest, I mean, that is some great value with Melvin Gordon. Now, you know, I've been battling the Melvin Gordon truthers. I've been saying that Javonte Williams is the significantly better running back there. I have no idea how anybody even tries to argue with me on that one. I've been saying this for I don't know how long, but even with me saying that Javonte Williams is a significantly better running back, I will be the first person to admit Melvin Gordon, a decent value there at the 10:09. First person to admit that. Tim says, still don't get the hate for Pitts. Julio just left and vacated so many targets. Those are going to be going to Ridley, Pitts, and with Gage being the third option. I will say that, yes, I believe that most likely Kyle Pitts is going to be the second option on that offense, but I'm going to be believing that they're actually going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. Arthur Smith is actually going to bring down the overall passing volume. I know that he doesn't have a Derrick Henry here, but I still think that this is going to be a spot where, given the lack of overall talent that they have on the offense compared to where they were at a year ago or compared to where Arthur Smith was with Tennessee, I think they actually slow the pace of play down slightly. They go and they try to not necessarily have Matt Ryan lead the NFL in passing attempts again. So I think that comes down. I think you have Calvin Ridley as potentially a top 5 wide receiver this year. I think you have Hayden Hurst getting slightly more usage than most people expect. You have a Russell Gage and Olamide Zaccheaus. And at the same time, I mean, Matt Ryan's efficiency over the past few years has kind of cratered. Okay, so Kenyon Drake there at the 11:04. Also fantastic value with Kenyon Drake. Okay, so let's go through. And I didn't even realize that was Thomas that was taking them. Let's go through and look at Thomas's team. Okay, so Thomas goes Kamara in the first, Waller in the second. Then from here, A.J. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Odell, Kenny Golladay, Juju, Corey Davis. He gets Trey Lance at the 904. Trey Lance continuing to rise. Melvin Gordon, Kenyon Drake. Every single draft, I say that Thomas has a better team than us. And every single draft, I tell Thomas that I'm going to start doing what he's doing. And every single draft, instead, I'm drafting a Trey Sermon and a Michael Carter at the 7-11 and the 802. Okay, so Gus Edwards goes in the middle of the 11th. Let's switch this over. Let's see what we can be expecting with this next pick. So if we took another running back here, like if we decided to go with a James Robinson, a Tony Pollard, then we would be done at the running back position. I would not take another one the rest of the draft. And from there, we would be drafting 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 8 receivers, and 3 tight ends. That would be our construction if we decided to take another running back. Honestly, I think we probably just want to go with 5 running backs in this team regardless. So let's go through and let's see what happens with the next 2 picks, because these guys need running backs. They have a lot of receivers. So maybe we get a receiver that we like falling to us. And keep in mind, we did end up taking Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. So we have built in a Buffalo Bills stack here. So if we have someone like a Gabriel Davis falling to us or an Emmanuel Sanders, we're going to have the shot at least one of those players. That'll be a very interesting pick. So you do have James Conner, Latavius Murray going off the board. So I actually think that we go through and we just take Tony Pollard here. Now, I understand that Pollard is mainly just a handcuff, to be completely honest. But at the same time, if anything were to occur to Ezekiel Elliott, I think we can all agree that Tony Pollard at the minimum is a top 15 running back in fantasy. So getting him here as a running back 5 is going to allow us, I believe, to only have to draft 5 of those players, and we can load up on receivers later. So Singletary goes, as well as Jonnu Smith. So now it comes down to, do we want Gabriel Davis or Emmanuel Sanders? I know Emmanuel Sanders has been the guy that's been getting a lot of publicity in camp. I know he is the supposed wide receiver too. I've personally been mixing it up slightly. Now, y'all know I'm always the fan of kind of avoiding the older guys and going for the younger ones. So maybe I am... No, we're not going to do it. We can't do it in this one again. Let's just go with Emmanuel Sanders. Let's listen to the training camp reports. They were close enough to begin with. Maybe I'm going to hate myself for that selection. But yeah, we're going to go with Emmanuel Sanders, continue that Buffalo Bills onslaught that we currently have with all of those players. Now, let me go through, show the top of the draft board one more time for anybody who's just now coming into this stream. And let's go down to the bottom as well so everybody can pause it, take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. But let me know what y'all think of my picks there, because I'll say that Gabriel Davis versus Emmanuel Sanders is a decision that I've had to make a lot, and I don't know the correct answer. I don't know what I'm going to continue to do. As of now, I've been kind of splitting it back and forth between Emmanuel Sanders and a player like Gabriel Davis, but it's just hard because, I mean, the last thing that I want to be doing is consistently drafting a 34-year-old wide receiver that I don't necessarily believe in the talent at this point in his career. So yes, we're going to do so in this particular build because we have Josh Allen, we have Stephon Diggs, but in a regular team, honestly, maybe I wouldn't have even gone with a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. Maybe instead we would have gotten an Adam Troutman. Okay, so Alphide says, thanks for the draft guide. It's awesome. No, my man, thank you so much for using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. That helps the channel tremendously, so I am more than happy to get that draft guide to you as soon as you use that promo code. Okay, so Tua Tagovailoa goes all the way at the 12-12. I mean, he goes in the same round as a Trevor Lawrence. Now, what we have said before is when you're drafting at the end there, like if you have the 212 as well as just say the 112 or even where we are at with the 111 or the 102, it's so hard to call any of those picks a reach because while, yes, I mean, you're never going to see Tua Tagovailoa get drafted before Justin Fields, really. At the same time, you know that if you're here and you really want to construct a team around Tua Tagovailoa, I mean, you're at a spot where you don't necessarily have the luxury of just waiting and kind of seeing the value that's going to make it back to you in the 14th round because you know that Tua is going off between these picks. You know, I'd probably take him if he fell to us here in the 14th. So it's either do we reach on him a little bit or do we have no shot on him? So it's hard for me to say that any pick there is going to be a reach. Personally, I wouldn't do it, but I understand the thought process. Okay. Aaron says, yo, what's up, Mason? This is JH20 on Underdog. I've been getting several of my friends to sign up for Flock today with promo code Flock. Hope to get in a draft with you tonight. My man, thank you so much. And if you're getting your friends to sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code Flock to get $25 added onto their account, you are the real MVP to the point where you don't even understand. And I'm like, you don't understand how happy that makes me because, like I said, guys, this is our first partnership ever. I mean, I want this to go perfectly. And if we hit 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy, we're going through doing a 24-hour live stream where Underdog Fantasy is going to pay for not only myself to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, they're going to pay for me to fly people out to go with me and then have a Florida Flock meetup. So thank you so much. If you are getting your friends to sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code Flock, you are the real MVP. And it's like, that's just crazy. Thank you, my man. So we're going to go Randall Cobb here as our wide receiver 7. Now, we are completely punting tight end at this point. Gronk is someone that I have very rarely drafted whatsoever, to be completely honest. Now, Paris Campbell goes at the 13-12. Paris Campbell, also a player that I may have to take an L on sometime soon because that's someone that y'all know I was screaming earlier this offseason that he was a massive value at the end of drafts. And now I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case. So this is scary. This is real scary. I think receiver's going to be drying up. We're done at running back. QB, the problem is we don't have any stacks with these quarterbacks. I don't care. We're just going to draft to Sammy Watkins. And I know a lot of people are going to hate that pick. A lot of people are going to be screaming at us to go with a tight end there. But if we go with a Watkins, we're going to be done at the wide receiver position. We can just go with tight ends after this pick. And at the same time, I think you really need to be excited about what you have with Sammy Watkins now that you do have. I mean, just think about it. Rashad Bateman getting surgery out 6 to 8 weeks. This is a tight end that needed training camp reps. He needed preseason reps. He needed to get that chemistry with Lamar Jackson. He needed to get implemented into the game plan. Now, instead, Sammy Watkins is out there. Hollywood Brown also injured. So Watkins at the 1402, we know in a best ball format, he's at least good for one pop-off 50-point week. Maybe it comes in week 1 like it has the past 2 years. But regardless, we're going to go with Watkins at the 1402. And we're just going to be praying that some tight ends that are decent make it back to us. Okay. So let's go through. Swizzworld says, Mason, can you go over the 110? Yes, sir. Let me go over the 110 really quick. Okay, so if we scroll up, Swizzworld, the 110 drafting right next to us goes Barkley there. Really like the Barkley pick. Hopkins at the 203. I almost considered taking Hopkins here at the 202. Swift at the 310. Godwin would have been my pick over a Cooper Kupp. Kyler to stack with Hopkins. Love that stack. Laviska at the 603. This goes back to what I was saying a little earlier. I mean, I think that if you're looking at Laviska Shenault compared to these receivers, I prefer Laviska over Cortland Sutton. I prefer Laviska Shenault over someone like a Deebo Samuel. I prefer him over Antonio Brown, Michael Gallup. So if you're talking about best receiver available, I guess Laviska Shenault has to at least be in that conversation. But I don't know if you want to go running back there. I don't know if you just want to get a Javonte Williams, in that we know Javonte most likely has a higher ceiling if he can command 3 down usage in that offense. So that's going to be a really hard thing for me to answer, to be honest. I just simply don't know about this Laviska pick. I love Laviska Shenault, but at the same time, maybe a running back would have been better there. Let's look at what you did later in the draft. So if we go and we look at this running back pick, let's say if you decided to take an Emmanuel Sanders instead, would you prefer the combination of Javonte Williams and Emmanuel Sanders or Laviska Shenault and Latavius Murray? I don't think there's necessarily a bona fide correct answer there, so it's hard for me to say. I would love to know your opinion in the comment section. Now we go through Logan Thomas at the 910, Evan Ingram at the 1310. That is a fantastic value. I mean, that's a value that I hate seeing you go out there and grab as well because, I mean, an Evan Ingram would have been literally perfect. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing with the stream. Sorry, guys. We reset the stream earlier, and just all my buttons are in wrong places. So if y'all see anything that goes wrong like that, just know I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. It won't be like this tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll get everything fixed. Okay, so Philip Lindsay, Damian Harris, Giovanni Bernard. Philip Lindsay, a massive, massive winner of the preseason. A big-time winner of the preseason in Philip Lindsay. Okay, so let's switch this over. So now that we're on the board, we're going to be picking out 179. And you have Ryan Fitzpatrick falling. I mean, his ADP is 20 picks before we're on the clock. Still at the same time, I don't know if we're going Fitzpatrick. Y'all know that is a player that I am very rarely taking. I think we've taken him in one draft so far, and I've done probably 80 drafts. Now Jared Cook goes. Obviously, we hate to see Jared Cook go. That's a tight end that we could have potentially drafted. Let's see where Swizz World decides to go. He has 2 tight ends, so maybe he kind of takes it easy on us. Maybe he doesn't take a third here. Instead, he gets a wide receiver. John Brown also. John Brown playing in week 1 preseason while Bryan Edwards was rested because Bryan Edwards is the clear starter. That's not a good sign for John Brown. Okay, so Xavier Jones goes. So we are going to be getting Hunter Henry, who was back at practice today. And obviously, I like Jonnu Smith over Hunter Henry before the injury. And of course, now we definitely have to have Jonnu Smith significantly higher than Henry. But if we're going to be getting him here at the end of the 15th round, at the 15-11, I'm going to be fine with it. Now, KJ Hamler, a receiver that we love. Y'all know how high I have been on KJ Hamler compared to consensus. Goes there at the 15-12. And now a rule that we have that kind of sucks is when you need a second quarterback or you need a third quarterback, but you know you're going to need another quarterback on the roster, you need to draft that guy in the 16th round. The majority of the time, the quarterbacks we're going to be looking at us in the next round are disgusting. I don't necessarily think that we have an option, though. I think we kind of have to go with an Austin Hooper, especially since I love Austin Hooper. That's going to be the pick. Now, I could have easily been wrong there, and the correct answer maybe was to go with the quarterback. But regardless, we're going to go with Hooper. And let me show the top of the draft board for anybody coming into the live stream. And if you were just now coming into the live stream, go down there, drop that like, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we are on the way to 30,000 subscribers. Okay, so let's get this down. Jake says, Jonnu just got hurt at practice, I think. My man, if that is true, my God. Let me look that up. I did not hear anything about Jonnu Smith getting hurt. Let me look this up. I just need to have Twitter constantly pulled up whenever we're going through these live streams because I know a lot of people, and whenever we hear anything, my first reaction is let's just go pull up Twitter. Let's pull up Twitter. That's literally all I use Twitter for, is sending out some tweets to just anger some people and at the same time going and looking up fantasy football news. Okay, so he suffers an ankle injury, but there is very little reporting on it. Low ankle sprain, obviously a low ankle sprain is significantly better than a high ankle sprain. You don't need me to tell you that. Let's pull this up. It's considered to be a minor injury. It could still hinder Smith for the remainder of the preseason, if not longer. The former Titan will most likely be healthy come week 1, but missing time could be harmful to the continuity with his new team compared to his counterpart, Hunter Henry. Okay, guys, did y'all see how smart I was for drafting Hunter Henry in the 15th round? I don't know if y'all know this about the New England Patriots tight end situation, but Jonnu Smith actually got hurt earlier at practice today, which is why I decided to go through and draft a Hunter Henry there. And if you look at it through that context, my Hunter Henry pick is honestly massive because we've seen Hunter Henry back in 2018 put up some decent numbers with the Chargers. I mean, you're talking about tight ends actually producing at a young age. Hunter Henry, surprisingly, was one of those guys. So obviously when we have the low ankle sprain here that we see Jonnu Smith suffered, obviously I read that earlier today because I'm not just sitting here doing fantasy drafts all day. Instead, I'm grinding through the news. Then we can make those expert analysis picks and we can go and make sure we set ourselves up to get a Hunter Henry at a massive value there at the 15-11. Okay, yes, guys, I understand that Hunter Henry also has the shoulder injury. Of course, I'm kind of trolling right now. That's why Hunter Henry falls to the 15-11. Yes, that's what I said when I selected Hunter Henry. I'm just trolling right now. Yes, you have to be worried about the shoulder injury. Was back at practice, so that is a positive sign. But still at the same time, when it's the 15-11, at this point, Hunter Henry is going to be a great pick. This is someone that was going in the 13th round before the shoulder injury. So we're getting him at the 15-16 turn. I think at this point, you're seeing a 3.5 round fall. And I think that kind of bakes in the price that you have from that shoulder injury. So yeah, we are going to be fine taking him there. Now let's go through. Let's pull up our next few options. So quarterbacks fall. Thank God. Hallelujah. You never, ever see quarterbacks fall this far. So we're going to go QB, then we're going to go tight end. And a big thing that I actually just made NFL preseason losers video. And there we have Eric Ebron as a loser. We have Eric Ebron as a faller because you have Pat Frymuth seeing a surprising amount of snaps in this game, which obviously snaps don't necessarily matter, but he was taking snaps with the first team offense. Pat Frymuth, we expected him to be absolutely nothing his rookie season. So if he's going to be taking some snaps away from Eric Ebron, I think that you have to drop Eric Ebron specifically in underdog drafts. Now, what's going to be gross here is when y'all make me take Ryan Fitzpatrick. Am I really going to have to take Fitzpatrick? I think this is the first draft I've ever taken him in, but the thing is I'm going to do 250 of these drafts. So if I'm ever going to get any exposure to him whatsoever, might as well be it literally like within the last 13 picks of the draft. So we're going to go Ryan Fitzpatrick there at the 17-11. And then our last pick, just going to be a tight end. Now, Ebron, like I'm saying, is going to be a faller, but could we afford to go anywhere else? You know, I'm probably going to go with the Dawson Knox. Now that it looks like Zach Ertz is not going to get traded, Zach Ertz, one of the previous favorite destinations for him was going to be Buffalo. Dawson Knox going into year 3. This is a tight end that at Ole Miss, I mean, he played alongside DK Metcalf. He played alongside AJ Brown. So if you go back and look at his collegiate profile, it wasn't that impressive, but he gets drafted in the 3rd round of that 2019 NFL draft class. He actually shows up and is playing a decent amount of snaps and has a red zone role last year near the end of the year. So yeah, let's go down. Let's scroll to the bottom of the board so everybody can get a gauge on what the last part of the draft is. And we're going to get another draft going right now, my dudes. So please pay attention to the live chat because I'm going to be sending out a poll asking y'all, do y'all want to get a $5? Do y'all want to get a $50 draft going? Because it's 100% up to y'all, 100% up to the people who came out to the live stream. And since this is a stream where we potentially hit 30,000 subscribers and y'all have already smashed that like button and y'all have demolished it, we're doing, I can guarantee you, more than 2 drafts tonight. At the very minimum, we're going to be doing 3 drafts tonight. So let's go through. Let's set up our second one here. Okay, which draft? Just literally vote on the option. You don't have to let me know what y'all are saying in the live chat. Thomas says, should I draft Tim Tebow? Considering, Thomas, that I would like to have your buy-in into this league, yes, I should. I think you should draft Tim Tebow. Okay, so now we sent that out, and let me go through and actually I'll show you all the top of the draft board real quick as well before we get this new one going. So here's the top, just in case you didn't come into the live stream earlier. Now let's scroll down to the bottom. Of course, you can pause it, you can screenshot it, you can do whatever you want with it. You can make fun of how bad I am at drafting teams, and then you can come in and you can get in a draft with us where I can go through and I can take your money from you. So now let's go. Let's end this. Let's get a new one set up here. And guys, if you are new to the live stream, how we set up these drafts is I'm going to be going through, I'm going to be setting up a private draft. Do not join a draft through the Underdog lobby. Now you're going to see a lot of links in the live chat that say join our next draft here. And the reason for that is if you want to get in a draft with us, you have to go to Underdog and you have to sign up before we send the link out to the private draft. Because if you wait until the link to the private draft is already out, if you're going to sign up, then you have a 0% chance of getting in, because when you use promo code FLOCK, since Underdog Fantasy is giving you $25 added onto your account, they have to verify that you're a real person. They have to verify that you're also at least 18 years old. So it's state by state on how they do that. Sometimes it's instant where you just put in your information and you're verified. But some other states like my own, it took me about 4 or 5 minutes to get verified. And these drafts feel like that. So make sure that you're going and make sure that you're signing up for Underdog Fantasy before I send the link out, or it's going to be way too late and you're never going to have a shot to get in. But here, this next draft we'll do is we're going to do a $5 draft. Now I promise you we'll at least get in one $50 or $100 draft in this live stream for anybody that's wanting to play at a little bit of a higher stakes. But here it looks like the majority of people want a $5 draft. So let me get this set up. Let me get this sent out. Okay, perfect. Copy that. I'm just going to send it in the chat, say $5 draft here. We'll end the poll because obviously we already know the winner on that. And like I said, we're at least going to get one $50. We're at least going to get $100 draft going in this live stream. I promise you that. So yeah, it's going to get filled literally ASAP. So we just sent that out. It gets filled. We get the 103. We haven't drafted at the 103 in a while, even though I swear to God, we had like a we had a string of drafts where it seemed like almost every single one was at the 103. I guess Swissworld says he let us get in. Let's go through. Let's check out who got into this draft. Okay, so if we're going through, we have Corey, Fallon, Sea-Dog, Flugel, Deezenators, Lankdog, Austin Eckler's Hairline, Just Subs, T-Coffee, Doc79, Wish14. So if we're going through, if we're welcoming some new drafters, now keep in mind, guys, I've done like 100 drafts. So if you've gotten in a draft with us, understand that I've drafted with probably 1,000 people. If I don't remember that you were in one, I apologize. Now, the regulars that I do recognize, we have Corey as a regular, Fallon as a regular, Flugel, Deezenators, Lankdog, T-Coffee, and I believe that's it. I believe Wish, Doc, Austin Eckler's Hairline, Just S Subs, and Sea-Dog. I believe they are all new members of the flock, new members of the stream. So I'm happy that you were able to get in a draft, and y'all are going to see me do something that you're not going to see anybody else do in fantasy football here. And we're taking Davante Adams at 3. Now, the reason I'm taking Adams at 3 is beyond Christian McCaffrey, beyond Dalvin Cook, every running back that you're going to have after that, they have red flags. Derrick Henry, change in offensive coordinator. Derrick Henry, 27 and a half years old. This is the running back cliff that we always see. Derrick Henry, at the same time, over 800 touches the past 2 years. Alvin Kamara, you have to worry about Taysom Hill. Ezekiel Elliott, a drop in efficiency last year. The second most touches for any active running back across the entire NFL. Also, Tony Pollard looked pretty dang good last year. Aaron Jones, you have A.J. Dillon, possibly getting some usage in the red zone. A Saquon Barkley, you have the injury, and as well, more importantly, the horrendous offensive line. So all those running backs, they have red flags where you don't have any of those with the Davante Adams. And at the same time, with the Davante Adams, you have access to a ceiling that those running backs also possess, because we saw him be the best wide receiver of all time in fantasy football last year. So Adams, I know a lot of people are going to hate seeing it. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Mason, how are you going to catch up on running back? How are you going to build the team after this? Sit back and watch. Watch how it's done, because we're getting it figured out. If I have the chance to draft Davante Adams and I don't have to take him over CMC, or I don't have to take him over Dalvin Cook, I'm taking him every single time. Now, if we had news that you had Jameis Winston starting for the New Orleans Saints, all 16 games, then I'm going Kamara at the 103. But without that news, and with Taysom Hill looming over his shoulder, we're going to go with a Davante Adams. Okay, so then Tyreek Hill at the 108, Travis Kelce at the 109, Calvin Ridley at the 110. So we have Calvin Ridley in this draft going over Stephon Diggs. That is notable. Barkley goes all the way to the 111. I mean, if you're drafting Barkley at the 111, you are going to be a very happy camper just in a month. I mean, get your Barkley shares now when he's going this late, because this is not going to be an option for you that much longer, to be completely honest. Okay, so Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Austin Eckler. Now, also, we just passed 250 likes on the live stream. Thank you, everybody, going out there and dropping a like. Jonathan Taylor at the 203. Honestly, I kind of wish we took Jonathan Taylor in the last draft. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, that's just a running back that we know that I think he could break fantasy football. If you do have Quentin Nelson coming back early enough, Jonathan Taylor, he can turn into a 3-down bell cow running back. We already know. I mean, he doesn't have to turn into that. That's what he is. He's a workhorse running back. All we need is a baseline level of efficiency of the offense, and Jonathan Taylor's a massive smash here in the second round. Okay, so now let's pull this up. So we did decide to start this draft off with a Davante Adams here at 3. So all the teams before us, they went running back. So now there are 2 running backs available that we could consider going in both Najee Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let's see if either player falls to us with these next 2 picks. If they both want to go running back, hell, we're going to end up going with a Darren Waller or an A.J. Brown. I'm not going to cry about it. Let's see where Sea-Dog decides to go. And of course, people, when I'm live streaming, like to make life difficult for me. And he does make life difficult. And we are not going to make a pivot here. We are going to continue to go through and just draft best player available. Now, that's going to be down between A.J. Brown or Darren Waller. Now, I will say that in the majority of drafts, I have been taking Waller over this, considering the fact that you only have to draft 2 tight ends when you do so. But if teams want to load up on running back, maybe we try to fight back and maybe we try to take an A.J. Brown here. Another thing is I've seen George Kittle a lot falling in these drafts, or possibly we actually have a Darren Waller falling as well, because I've seen a lot of drafts where these wide receivers, they just get eaten up. So possibly, hopefully, we get someone like a Darren Waller falling to us in the third. Most likely not going to happen. Most likely he's going here at the 211. But regardless, we're going to continue to take best player available. We'll figure out the running back position later on. Party Tulsi Saad says, my dude sent you a message on IG. You should check it out. The flock rocks. You made me tear up after I watched the thank you video. Underdog plus flock equals go. My man, thank you so much for the donation, of course. And I'll be happy to go through and check out that Instagram DM as soon as we are done streaming. And yeah, I know a lot of people, let me know in the live chat right now, how many people in the live chat have saw the video that I posted to Patreon, where it was me just going through and thanking everybody for supporting the channel. And I kind of showed the progression of the channel with where we started and what all of your support has allowed us to get to. So let me know in the live chat right now how many of y'all had a chance to watch that, because I'd be very, very interested. But yeah, no, that was an emotional video. That was a very emotional video. At least for me, it was hard to make in terms of like going through and doing the editing and stuff and getting that cut up made. Okay. So now we're going to go receiver, receiver, receiver. This is a wild start. So we're going Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson. Okay, boys, strap in. The wheels can fall off really quickly here. The wheels can fall off. We will see what's going to happen. Okay, so Robert Woods at the 304. Now, what we want to see when we go with these three wide receivers is we need to see receiver, 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 and then give us DeAndre Swift. I'm not joking. I have seen multiple times in those $1 million drafts, DeAndre Swift, guys, is falling to the middle to the late fourth round. It is crazy. I'll show y'all some of the draft boards. Remind me at the end of the stream to pull up some of those $1 million draft boards that I did earlier today. And I will show y'all how dumb people are in those drafts. I mean, a lot of people are going through with a certain plan in mind, and I think they're doing a great job in accomplishing that. But when you join one of those drafts, it's not like this whatsoever. It is so surprising to see people go completely off the reservation. And I mean, you have teams like, I had a team that I saw earlier draft 7 running backs in a row. And if you do that in a format like this, you are dead. You have no shot in catching up. Then they draft 4 quarterbacks. And I'm like, you realize there's a buy-in to this league, right? Are you just making a donation to the league pot? Thank you for your donation. I'm going to continue to try to get in as many of these as I can. And that's a big thing that I want to do, is if we hit 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, like I said, we're going to be doing a 24-hour live stream. I'm just going to be going through and I'm going to be doing 1 million of those $1 million drafts. Jaden, I have not seen him in a while, coming out to the live stream. Thank you, my man, for the donation. Says pick 2 of J.K. Dobbins, Darrell Henderson, and Robert Woods for week 1. My man, I am already out here answering start-sit decisions. Now, of course, this is not going to surprise anybody, but I need to go through and I need to look up the NFL schedule because I do not have the schedule memorized. What's so funny is, I mean, this is bringing back memories of back last year when I would stream every single night answering start-sit decisions. I would have the entire schedule for the week memorized by Tuesday. And hopefully I can still be that fresh. Hopefully I can still be that sharp this upcoming season. But if we're pulling up, so the question is Dobbins, Henderson, Robert Woods for week 1. Now, I will say with Darrell Henderson, if there's no competition added to Los Angeles, you're going to have to start Darrell Henderson regardless. I think that we go through, we look at this. Let's find out who the Rams are going to be playing. So they're going up against the Bears. Obviously, that's not a good matchup. Now, if we go over to Baltimore, so Baltimore week 1, it looks like they are going to be going up against the Raiders. So possibly we actually go with a Robert Woods and a J.K. Dobbins just because the matchup that they have against the Chicago Bears. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I am just not necessarily putting it into the correct context and just going for the player that's going to see more valuable touches. But I say we wait and see what we have with Darrell Henderson. Let's just go with the J.K. Dobbins and a Robert Woods. But thank you so much for your donation, my man. Okay, so we have Chris Carson, Darrell Henderson going at the 404, 405. Obviously, those would have been running backs that we would have liked to see fall here at the end of the 4th round. And also, we are about to pass 300 likes in the live stream. Guys, we are passing 30,000 subscribers today. We are going to get multiple drafts going here right after this one. This is going to be an exciting live stream. This is already a very exciting live stream. Okay, so DJ Moore at the 406. So here when we're picking back-to-back, the thing is, okay, so Josh Jacobs goes, I know this sounds crazy, but when I'm doing so many of these $100, $50 drafts, I need to try out some new things. So I may get a little off the wall here. We may go back-to-back receiver. It's going to depend on the value that's on the board. But like a Tyler Lockett in a best ball format, this is someone that simply never, and I repeat, never falls to this range. So if we also look at the teams behind us, here Corey doesn't have a single wide receiver. And Fallon has Dalvin Cook. So I know this is going to be crazy. But if we go and we look at Tyler Lockett, his ADP is 36. We're getting him 10 picks after that. So we're going to go with a Tyler Lockett here. And we're going to start this draft off with 4 receivers. Now, keep in mind, this is an underdog best ball format. So with the Tyler Lockett, he's a lot more valuable in that we know that in a regular league, it's going to be hard to know when you're going to start Tyler Lockett. But in a format like this, you can capture his spike weeks. So we're going to try something else out here. Y'all see just this line of orange straight down the column. T. Higgins goes at the 411. So JN says, if Underdog added a 12-man draft, that would be $25. It would be legit. The thing is, man, they have that Best Ball Mania, which is the $1 million drafts that I keep talking about. And those are the ones that I keep on doing because I think $25 is literally like the perfect price point, at least for myself. They aren't going to necessarily allow us to do private drafts over there because they would have to go through and create a separate contest for that. And they want everybody to be participating in the $1 million draft because they're giving out a decent amount of guaranteed money over there, obviously. So they want to have people in those drafts rather than going through and doing private $25 drafts. So if we do that 24-hour live stream, if we get 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, which should be very easy to do because when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you get $25 added to your account. You get my 2021 draft guide. You get my 2021 rankings. You also go out there and help the channel tremendously. So please make sure you do that. And here, let's go get our running back one. Someone I love. This is probably the plan when you start 4 receivers is to go with a Travis Etienne. It would have been nice to see Miles Sanders fall to us at the 503. It doesn't happen. Y'all know Etienne is someone that I understand. We saw a preseason game. Didn't have exactly what you want. But this is the profile of an Aaron Jones. This is the profile of an Alvin Kamara. He's going to get every target out of the backfield. He's going to get potential usage in the red zone. Is what you're looking for. A first-round running back that checks every single box. He has the size. He has the speed. He has the receiving down capability. He has the team investment. Historically, it's been a tremendous bet to go with a running back, and they never make it until the 5th round with this profile. So we're going to take Etienne as our running back one. Okay, Aaron coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, what's the earliest you should draft Patrick Mahomes? So with Mahomes, it's going to be very dependent on your structure. So I'll say, I think the earliest you should draft Mahomes is actually exactly where he went at about the 308, the 309. But the only time I'm going to be willing to take Mahomes there is if I did decide to go with a Tyreek Hill or a Travis Kelce in the first round, because then you're going through and you're building in that correlation and you're making the bet that, hell, if Patrick Mahomes comes out and he leads the NFL in passing, which he kind of has to do to pay off a pick where you're taking him before an Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, or a David Montgomery, then you know that Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill are smashing in fantasy. So to get that correlation in your starting lineup, that's going to be extremely valuable. So I'll take Mahomes. I'm personally not taking him in the 3rd because I've had a lot of teams that I've went with like a Tyreek Hill here at the 110, and then all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes makes it back to me at the 403. So I'm probably waiting until we actually get that. But I understand a lot of people wanting to just make sure they're locking up their stack here and getting Mahomes at the 309. So this is the earliest you can take him. If you're playing in a 6-point passing touchdown format, maybe you can slide him up to the early 3rd. But personally, I'm not going to be able to take him any higher than this. Okay, so now let's go through. The Queek says, how much to sign up for Underdog Fantasy? So to sign up and get our 2021 draft guide, get the $25 bonus added to your account to get the rankings and the tiers, all you have to do is deposit $10. And keep in mind, not paying $10. You're literally just getting 10 of your USD and you're converting it to 10 Underdog credit dollars. So you can go do $10 worth of fantasy drafts, and you get 25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK, and you get our draft guide, you get our email, you get our rankings. So yeah, it's going to be $10 minimum, my man. Okay, so Kareem Hunt at the 601, TJ Hawkinson at the 602. Okay, so let's keep an eye out right now. Let's scroll up real quick and see this team. So if we're looking at just Scubs here, they have yet to take a receiver. So this is almost two entirely different builds between us and them. Now, keep in mind, this is a league where you need to go through and you need to start 3 receivers on a week-to-week basis. You also have a flex, and it's going to be best ball. So there are a lot of different things at play here. He does take Kenny Golladay at the 604, but I want to keep track of this team because unique teams are going to be very intriguing in a format like this, because when I'm playing in Underdog's $1 million contest, I want to be testing out unique teams and seeing if we can create something truly special. Okay, so now Burgundy Bets comes out with a donation, says, Mason, I hit the link to join the next draft and nothing happens. Is the draft just filled up? I'm very sorry, my man. We actually explained this a little earlier in the live stream. So those automatic messages that say join the next draft for Underdog Fantasy, because they're giving out $25 for anybody who signs up with promo code FLOCK, you actually have to verify that you're a real person. It's state by state on how you have to do this. Some states you don't need a picture of your ID. Some states I believe you do. I don't have confirmation on that. I didn't need one. But it does take about 3 or 4 minutes to go through that process and sign up for Underdog Fantasy. And you'll see when we send out the link to our private drafts that they actually get filled like that. So really, that's a link to make sure that you can go through and you can get signed up. But here, Damien Harris goes. So what we're going to do is by far and away the best values at Jerry Jeudy. But simply this room that we're drafting with right now, if I pass on a Myles Gaskin, they will not let me live it down, and they will not give me another running back the rest of the draft. So if I was playing in a league where I wasn't streaming, I would possibly take a Jerry Jeudy, but I know this room in particular would not let me live that down, especially when we have a team reaching on a Damien Harris here at the 609. So we're going to have to go with a Myles Gaskin at the 610. Okay, so Justin Herbert goes to the 611. Honestly, with a structure like this, I don't necessarily know if we're looking for any receivers in particular. And if we are, any quarterbacks in particular. And if we are, it's not going to be a Justin Herbert. So we do like seeing that pick go off the board. A Jerry Jeudy at the 612. Possibly would have considered Jerry Jeudy if he ended up falling to us. And now with these receivers here, like a Russell Wilson, even an Aaron Rodgers, I don't necessarily want to be going and getting a Rodgers with this pick, because I think there's just too much receiver value for us to pass up on. So here, if we're going through, if we're looking and we're just trying to hunt projected points to slide into our starting lineup, I actually think that we just go out of our way. And do we just take a Courtland Sutton? Sutton's not someone that I love, but we already have Laviska Shenault off the board, and DJ Chark is suffering from that finger injury. So we're going to go with Sutton here, knowing that we can get a player like DJ Chark, who we may like slightly more later in another draft. So we're going to get Sutton here at the 703. Okay, so let's try to continue to monitor this draft, because I know that a lot of people, they're trying to come out here. They're trying to snipe us. And also, we just passed 300 likes in the live stream. That is massive. Let me see if we're closing in on 30,000 subscribers. Let's see how close we are. Okay, we are really closing in. Okay, we are 90 subscribers away from 30,000. So we can hit it in this live stream, my dudes. We can get this going. Okay, so Antonio Brown at the 704, DJ Chark at the 705. Devin says it's easier to get into the big money drafts. That is completely true, guys. If you're trying to get in a $5 draft, just think about it. The $5 leagues are going to fill up like this. Now, I'll say that if you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and you get the $25 added to your account, you can actually go through and they do public lobbies. Like, that's when I'm drafting all day, when I'm just going through and doing my own drafts. I'm not sending out the links to anybody in the Discord chat or anything. I'm just going through and I'm playing against random people online. And I will tell you that if you're trying to make money, playing against random people online is way better than playing in these. I am legitimately surprised to see how bad the random people online are. So yes, but if you're trying to get in a $5 draft here, you literally have to have extremely fast internet. You have to press that button 0.00001 seconds after it pops up on your screen. But if we're getting a $50 draft going, or if we're getting a $100 draft going, it's a lot easier for you to get in. Okay, so Russell Wilson at the 708. Nitty Gritty says $30,000 draft to celebrate. One day, my dudes, imagine how cool that would be if I was able to go through and do a $30,000 fantasy football draft. That would be like my dream. That would be unbelievable. I know that there are certain sites that do like a $10,000 fantasy football draft. Obviously, I do not have the money to be able to do that, but that would just be so cool. Now, Juju, Michael Gallup. Can you imagine how, like, y'all see how stressed I get in like these $5 drafts where I'm like, oh God, we got to go. Can you imagine me in a $10,000 draft? I would be losing my mind. Okay, so we have this run on wide receivers here, which is kind of what we need to see. I mean, if you pull it up and you just look at ADP right now, ADP kind of shows you that best available, receiver, 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 running back, receiver. So like literally the receivers are by far and away the best values. And the good thing is in a best ball format, we can continue to take them if they fall. But of course, we have to kind of cut ourselves off at a certain point. So we do have 5 wide receivers through 7 rounds here. We do not have a quarterback. We do not have a tight end. Obviously, we're going to have to continue to monitor those situations. Steven says, I did a $1,200 draft last night. Very intense. Steven, I am jealous, my man. That sounds really, really fun. That does sound intense. Okay. So Aaron Rodgers goes at 806. Obviously, Rodgers falling to us at the end of the 8th would have been fantastic when we take Devontae Adams in the 1st. I personally couldn't go with a Rodgers over a receiver here just because the value that was presented to us. Now, I understand it's very important to go get your stacks. I'm the number one person who talks about that. But at the same time, if you're going to be reaching, like if we would have taken a Rodgers at the 703 over a Russell Wilson, it would have just been such a bad pick that I wouldn't have been able to live with myself for it. Now we pull this up, and at the 8-10, maybe we have to take a player we don't necessarily like. We'll see. Let's see where C-Dog goes. He's taken Lamar Jackson, so he doesn't need a quarterback. I'd be surprised if he goes Brady here. He's taken, okay, so he goes Jalen Hurts. He does go with the quarterback. Now, simply because this draft room is going the way it is, we kind of need guaranteed running back touches at this point. Now, Ronald Jones, I am a little bit worried that we had Giovanni Bernard getting into the game with the first team offense. But regardless, we're going to go with a Ronald Jones here. Yeah, we're going to go Ronald Jones because we kind of at this point need guaranteed touches. Like I said, guys, this is a draft that you don't have access to the waiver wire. So if this was a league where we did have access to the waiver wire and I could pick up a running back off of there, I would just continue to go receiver, 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 try to find the next James Robinson, try to find the next Myles Gaskin. But here, guaranteed touches are going to be a lot more important than they are in a different format. So yeah, we're going to have to take a Ronald Jones at the 8-10. John says Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods. Currently, I have Robert Woods as a top 12 receiver in my receiver rankings this upcoming season. Personally, I'm just going to go with the Robert Woods, and I'm not thinking too much about it. Okay, so Darnell Mooney, Jarvis Landry, Marquise Brown. Okay, so maybe we're about to see a fall off at receiver. So maybe we grab another guy, to be honest. Because the thing here is, yes, we need a running back. But, okay, no, Jalen Waddle's off the board. So once Waddle's off the board, I think we kind of change our state of mind. And I think we are going to be having to push a Dallas Goedert down slightly, given the fact that it does look like they're going to be going out and getting Zach Ertz involved in the game. And it looks like he's probably staying in Philadelphia. So if you would have asked me this a week ago, I'd have been like, oh, Dallas Goedert, a fantastic, fantastic value. If you would have asked me a month ago, I would have drafted him in the last round. But here I actually think we have to go with the Tyler Higbee. Higbee's someone that I've very rarely drafted because in this range, it's an extremely steep price. But Goddard, I've drafted too much of him. He looks like he's a faller in fantasy. So we're going to go with the player we believe to be in a better offense, fighting for less tight end targets in the Tyler Higbee. Okay, Alex coming in with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, Mason, do you agree with trading DJ Chark and Jalen Waddle for Adam Thielen in a 12-man redraft league? I will say that if you're playing in a league where you're going to have shallower benches, where I go through, and y'all know that on Patreon, literally every single day, I make like 8-9 podcasts, literally just breaking down your fantasy football teams. Like when you draft a team on Patreon, you send me screenshots. I go, okay, let's make a podcast about this, upload it there. But a lot of teams are being sent to me that have the bench spots that are like, they only have 4 people on their bench. And I'm sitting there going, Well, your waiver wire must be loaded. Must be able to go out there and pick up someone from the waivers. Like, let's just scroll down and get a name to go off of from the range. You must be able to go to the waiver wire and easily pick up an Amon-Ra St. Brown. You must be able to easily go out there and pick up a Marquez Callaway. And if that's the case, when you're going and you're trading multiple pieces for one, that's always going to be advantageous, because you have to look at it as, I'm trading a DJ Chark and a Jalen Waddle for Adam Thielen and the best player that you're going to be picking up from the waiver wire. So I'll say, if you would have asked me this before the DJ Chark finger injury, I'm saying, hell no, never consider it. But if you're playing in a league with a deeper bench a deeper bench setting, like if you can go through, if you can bench 8 or 9 guys, or possibly if you either start 3 receivers or a couple flex spots, then we prefer the package, and that is providing you a little more depth. But if you're playing in a league where you only start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a flex, and a tight end, then all of a sudden getting players that are just going to be 1 tier ahead. And if your bench is shallow, depth doesn't necessarily matter that much. And in a format like that, I actually prefer Adam Thielen. Now, I know that was a very boring answer, and I know a lot of other people would just give you a name straight up, because it's a lot easier to say that rather than go through and to have the explanation behind it. But optimizing for your actual league format is going to be extremely important in fantasy football. And that's the number one thing that I'm proud about with this draft guide that we made for 2021, is I go through and I talk about in depth on how to optimize for your format with the amount of starting lineup spots you have, with the amount of teams in your league, with the scoring, really anything that you could think of. So my man, I'm very sorry to give you just a complicated answer, but I think it's going to be a way better answer if you take that information and you go through and you apply it to your own league. I think you'll make a much better decision. Okay, so now let's go through. And also, Alex, feel free to let me know how many starting players you have and how many bench spots you have, because I can also give you that answer through there as well. Okay, Thomas says, got to draft Landry tonight to match the thumbnail. And Aaron says, how do you pick the players on the thumbnail? That's a question for Thomas, my man. Thomas made these thumbnails for us. Y'all can probably tell that the thumbnails are significantly better than anything I could ever do. And that's all Thomas. Bloodhound says, how do you know which 12-team league is yours? Let me scroll up. Let me show y'all the draft board real quick, just in case you have not seen it. So let's go through, and I drafted from the 103 here. So we started Adams, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Travis Etienne, Myles Gaskin, Cortland Sutton, Ronald Jones, Tyler Higbee. So now Zach Moss going at the 905 is intriguing. Moss would have been a player that I wanted to fall to us in this next round, but maybe that was just a pipe dream all along. Okay, so let's see where we're going to be going with our next few picks. So we have yet to draft a quarterback. So yeah, we're going to be looking QB here, right? I mean, I think it's going to be very easy. Possibly we go running back, but there are a lot of different players that I'm interested in. Rondale Moore is actually very interesting. But the thing is, okay, Tannehill goes. So now that Tannehill goes, we miss out on the opportunity to stack with AJ Brown. So I don't know if we necessarily need to be dying to get a Stafford or a Burrow. Rondale Moore goes. So we're not going to take Terrace Marshall here when we need a quarterback. Instead, we're going to get Matthew Stafford. We do have a Tyler Higbee, not necessarily a massive stack. It's kind of whatever. Y'all just know that I love Matthew Stafford for this upcoming season. So we can go back to this view so everybody can kind of see how the draft board is trending. Okay, so let me go back to the question that we had regarding the Adam Thielen trade, and let me see if I got an answer from Alex with how many. Okay, so he says, thank you, my man. My starting lineup requirements are a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and 5 bench spots. So it'll still be plenty of value on the waiver. Yeah, so go get Adam Thielen. If it wasn't for the injury to DJ Chark's finger, I'd be a little hesitant to tell you to do that. But you want Adam Thielen there. Thank you so much for clarifying with the settings, because understanding your settings and understanding how they impact how you should be constructing your roster from a fantasy football standpoint matters so much. And that's why those podcasts that I do over there on Patreon are extremely important. Okay, so Burrow goes to the 10-12. I don't think we would have considered Burrow if he comes back to us. There are a lot of running backs that we can actually go through and we can look to draft, though. So Fournette is going to be dropping for me when we do have Giovanni Bernard playing. If we're going to be talking about a Trevor Lawrence, I guess we could get a stack with the Travis Etienne. Okay, this is intriguing. There are a couple different ways we could go here. Maybe we just get a Robert Tonyan. If we get Robert Tonyan he has a different bye week than Tyler Higbee. Maybe we can go through and maybe we can stop drafting tight ends after this because Leonard Fournette does go. The big thing is when we're drafting in so many leagues, we have to be aware of ADP and understanding how it's going to impact us later on. So if we're drafting a Tunyon here, I'm just trying to think because this is going to be pick 123, 10 picks behind ADP. Let's just draft a Robert Tunyon. And here we're going to be done at the tight end position. There are a lot of other running backs that I'm going to be interested in later on in this draft. That's a pick that we could end up regretting. Maybe the correct decision there was the Latavius Murray, but when I think we have the guaranteed touches on Ronald Jones, Robert Tunyon is going to be who we're grabbing at the 1103. Casey says, hey man, just joining. What number draft is this? This is going to be our second draft. We're going to do multiple drafts tonight. We're going to hit 30,000 subscribers tonight. It's going to be a massive, massive stream. So let me go through, let me show you the top of the draft board if you are just now joining the live stream. And if you are just now getting in here, make sure you're hitting that like button so we can go through, get recommended to some new listeners, hit 30,000 subscribers tonight because obviously that would be massive. Okay. Now, Mike Gesicki going at the 1105. Mike Gesicki, to be honest, in a vacuum is someone that I probably prefer over Robert Tunyon. Like if you look at our rankings. But the problem is I'm doing 250 of these drafts. I'll be able to get Gesicki in the 12th a lot, where Robert Tunyon, the majority of the time, he's going at the end of the 9th, the beginning of the 10th. Unknown GMR says, would you trade Saquon Barkley for Nick Chubb and Chris Godwin? Yes, and I'm like the number one fan of a Saquon Barkley. Casey says, you know I hit that like button. I know, my man. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to everybody else in this live chat. Okay, Devin says, you might have to do a $50 draft and a $100 draft, Mason. I'll ask y'all what y'all want. It's really up to what y'all want, to be honest. Now, Latavius Murray does go at the 1107. Now, let's go through. Let's see if we can find any intriguing builds on this team. Let's go and let's check back up on the team that really passed on a wide receiver early on. Let's see how they have built beyond that. So they went through. They got 2 elite tight ends with a Travis Kelce and a Kyle Pitts. So when I draft a Travis Kelce in the first round, 99.999% of the time, I'm literally waiting until one of the last 3 rounds to draft my second tight end. And honestly, it's kind of an easy decision for me to go out there and decide to do so. And then he has at running back, Nick Chubb, Darrell Henderson. And at quarterback, he has the stack with Patrick Mahomes. So receiver, he comes through and he has Galladay, Mike Williams, Michael Thomas, Henry Ruggs. I don't want to sound like an ass, but in this format, I think that that team's dead. Specifically in an underdog format where it's going to be very important to go through and make sure that you have 3 guys at your receiver slots every single time. I know you can say Kyle Pitts is going to go into your flex. I would probably argue against that, but I think that team's just straight up dead. Anthony says, just use the flock code on Underdog. Thank you, my man. We are one step closer to Underdog buying us those tickets for the Bucs game and going down to the Bucs game with some of y'all. That would be so much fun. Aaron says, how far away is 30,000 subscribers? I think it's 80 subscribers away. At least if my phone is correct, it's 80 subscribers away. Okay, so Irv Smith at the 1201. I do like the value on Irv Smith. I believe Irv Smith is honestly someone I've ranked in the same tier as Robert Tunyon. Big thing is I just have to pay attention to ADP when we're drafting. Yeah, so Adam Troutman at the 1202. Let's move this back over. So Lawrence, a quarterback that we considered in the last round, still available. Obviously, I mean, he's going to go before we're on the clock, especially when I bring up his name. And there are 4 teams here with only 1 quarterback. So I'd be surprised if he makes it back to us. If we're looking beyond that, we could have an intriguing play with maybe a Justin Fields. Fields possibly could fit this roster with a different bye week. Now, Devin Singletary, a running back that I would have loved to have at the 12-10, does end up going off the board. Brian Edwards at the 1206. Escar comes out, says 30K, 30K, 30K. Mason, you the man. Hoping to get in the next $5 draft. My man, thank you so much for coming out and supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so Marquez Callaway here at the 1207. Marquez Callaway, definitely someone that's rising. I know that if you look at his stat line, it looks impressive. But then what if I tell you that every single one of those balls that he caught was on the first drive of the game Obviously, that matters way more. Okay, so of course, we didn't get our guy Trevor Lawrence. We didn't get our guy Devin Singletary. We didn't get Bryan Edwards falling to us. We're going to be kind of just in a bad range here. We got all the Buffalo receivers. I'm sorry, Gabriel Davis is gone. Gabriel Davis just went. So if we're looking, we do only have 5 receivers, so we can go with another receiver. We have a very balanced team at this point. I know a lot of people are going to be screaming Justin Fields. I don't necessarily think we can do it. We're going to go back-to-back drafts with old man Sanders here. I just think in a best ball format, you can actually use his spike weeks. So yeah, we're going to get him, and we're just going to soak up receivers. What we should have probably considered is the fact that the teams behind us were loaded up on receiver already. We possibly should have gone. I'm not going to say what we should have done because we still have a couple picks to go between us. So Fields does go completely fine with Justin Fields going. Now Corey's on the clock. So he so far has gone with Burrow, CMC, J.K. Dobbins, Michael Carter, Gus Edwards. He took Dobbins at the 301. I didn't even notice that. And then he has Claypool, Adam Thielen, Jerry Jeudy, Darnell Mooney, Hollywood Brown, Darren Waller. That's an intriguing team. Jacoby Myers goes at the 12-12. Yeah, you kind of really need a tight end at that point. I'm sorry, really need a receiver at that point. Now, I really need a tight end at this point. That's why I'm saying that. Okay, so now on the clock after Kirk Cousins goes. Actually, no, we are not on the clock. I am so dumb. Thank God I didn't say what we were going to do. We could honestly we're probably going to go Matt Ryan here. Now that he takes a Gerald Everett. So if we go with the Matt Ryan, no, because if we go with Ryan, I'm still going to want to draft 3 quarterbacks. So we're not going to necessarily consider that. I think we actually want a running back that fits this roster nicely because we just need usable weeks at the running back position at this point. So we're going to go with someone that I'm not that excited about. Very rarely do I draft them. But we're going to get a Nyheim Hines. If he fits any roster whatsoever, he fits this one. So we're going to go with Hines. Let me go down real quick. Scroll this so y'all can see the bottom, what's going on. Okay, yeah, guys, this is not a $100 draft. We're either going to be doing a $50 or a $100 draft right after this. So please stick around if you're wanting to get in one of those drafts. We're also going to probably be doing another $5 draft tonight. I'll just ask y'all what we're doing because y'all have already smashed that like button, helping us get to 30,000 subscribers. So I'm just going to ask y'all what y'all want to see. Okay, so Evan Ingram goes up to 1304. I really think that we do need to go out there and we need to get Hines at that point. Is this a team with 3 tight ends? When you go Andrews and Dallas Goedert, in my opinion, you have to be done at the tight end position. I think you have to. I think you have to go with the Cole Beasley there, to be honest. You're just investing too much capital into tight end when we know that you're not going to really get any usable weeks from the tight end position in your flex spot. And I agree that Evan Ingram was pretty good value there. If Nyheim Hines wasn't on the board and we didn't need a running back, I personally would have gone with an Evan Ingram. But at the same time, I'll say that, I mean, you're just kind of handicapping your roster because we go through and we look at this team. Let's pull this up. So you start this draft off Kamara, Najee Harris, Damian Harris at the running back position. So you can call this the Harris Brothers podcast. I'm sorry, the Harris Brothers team. And then at receiver, you have Robert Woods, Antonio Brown, Rondell Moore, Sammy Watkins, Jalen Reagor. When you take an Evan Ingram here over these receivers that you know are going to be getting snaps and getting targets in a best ball format, I think you are just drawing slim to none. Because, yeah, I think that I'm completely fine with the draft up until that point. But Evan Ingram, and I'm not salty or anything that Evan Ingram didn't fall back to me. I knew he wasn't going to fall back to me. I mean, he was going to go in this range regardless. But I really think that you need to go with like a Beasley here. You just need someone that's going to be seeing snaps at receiver. Thomas says, do 10 drafts tonight. I'm not doing 10 drafts tonight, my man. I'm not doing 10 drafts tonight. I will say, if we're doing that 24-hour live stream, you'll probably see 30 fantasy drafts, considering if you look at the time that these take me. So actually, no, you'll see more than that. You'll probably see 35 drafts if we do the 24-hour live stream. Can you imagine 24-hour live stream fantasy football drafts? Obviously, I'm not asking anybody to be here the entire time with me, except Party tells she's hot because he already told me that he would be here the entire time with me. But like I said, guys, make sure you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Deposit 10, get $25 added to your account. Get my draft guide, get my rankings, get my tiers. You can ask anybody in the live chat right now. Half of them, at least half of them, have already gotten my draft guide. It's not some kind of thing that I'm going to be telling you to get my draft guide and you never get it. Literally, half the people in here have it. If I was lying about this. I wouldn't be able to say it in a live stream with 550 people. That would be clear. So to go along with that, it allows us one step closer when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK to go through, hit 10,000 signups, get some people down here, have Underdog pay for all of us to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, vlog it, do a Florida Flock meetup. So yeah, make sure you're doing that. And at the same time, it's just by far and away the best place that you can practice your fantasy football drafting for this upcoming season. And here we have some running backs that we like falling to us. Thank God we needed some running backs. And also we have at tight end, I'm passing on tight ends here. We're not taking a tight end here. We're taking a running back. Actually, you know what? We may not necessarily follow my rule. We may actually no. Now that Anthony Firkser's off, we're not going to go with the tight end. Who the hell am I taking here? I'm not reaching on Austin Hooper. Y'all know I'm not a fan of Jared Cook. So many running backs we have. We have 4 running backs. We want 6 running backs on this team. With how long we waited, I think we can feel safe to go through and draft 6. So we're going to get Alexander Madison here as one of those handcuff type high upside running backs. And there's one guy that I have my eye on that maybe it would be too much of a reach. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, guys, if you have signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, literally just go to the description of the video. That's how you get the draft guide. You just have to shoot me a DM literally on Twitter, Instagram, Discord. If you don't have Discord, it's a free chat. You literally press a link and you can send me a DM like that. Don't need a credit card, don't need an email or anything like that. You just have to send me the email that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with. That way I can confirm and that way I can send the draft guide to that email. It's just literally one DM, send me the email, and then we're set. I'm sorry, send me the DM with your email address that you signed up so I can go through, I can cross-reference and confirm that you used promo code FLOCK and made a $10 deposit. Okay, so Rashad Penny goes at the 14-12, Baker Mayfield at the 14-11. I'm not going to be considering QB here. I think we go back-to-back quarterback with our next 2 picks. Okay, so Fallon on the clock. Okay, let me talk out loud here. What I'm possibly considering is quote-unquote reaching on a Phillip Lindsay. I'm going to say this out loud because I kind of want Fallon here to take Phillip Lindsay because this was the starting running back. So Hooper goes, I'm considering reaching on Lindsay. Now, J.D. McKissic's very intriguing because we're just looking for usable weeks here. We're going to go with the J.D. McKissic, actually. Lindsay, maybe I can man up and maybe I can convince myself to take him over McKissic in another draft. But this one, let's just go with McKissic. Let's just get someone that we know is going to be running a lot of routes and getting a lot of targets. So from here, we possibly need 2 more quarterbacks. And then from there, we can just get 1 more receiver. Oh my God, this is going to be, we're only drafting 7 receivers on this team. This team has Adams, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, Emmanuel Sanders. I've never constructed a team like this. I've never built a team like this. This is nerve-wracking. This is really nerve-wracking. Okay, Unexpected Savage says, road to 30,000 subscribers, also a mother flocker, and utilizing the draft guide and rankings. I'm smoking my friends and randos on Underdog. It's hilarious. My man, thank you so much, obviously, for all the support that you have always shown on this channel. Thank you, my man. And yeah, tonight is a big night. We're hitting 30,000 subscribers tonight, guys. Y'all have almost dropped 400 likes on this live stream. We're hitting 30,000 subscribers. I can't ask y'all to do anything more than y'all have already done. Teresa says, Mason, don't forget bye weeks when you pick those quarterbacks. Teresa, thank you so much. And I swear to God, that's been something because when I'm going through and I'm doing all these Underdog drafts, because I told y'all I'm just doing Best Ball Mania all day throughout the day. And when I'm doing those, I've been having to double check because I'll be working on my computer. Like I'll be going through, I'll be sending out draft guides. I'll be going through and replying to all those Patreon messages, or even sometimes recording Patreon podcasts and making drafts. Doing drafts at the same time. So yeah, I've gone through and I've made a few mistakes with the bye weeks, but we've been able to correct them later on. Like it hasn't been detrimental, not like the mistakes that we made on the live stream, but the live stream is just so hard to draft and stream at the same time. It's significantly harder than drafting and working. Fallon says, can you check me out on Team 2? You sniped me on Lockett. Yes, sir. Let me go through. Let me pull that up real quick. We're looking at Fallon with Team 2 here, where Dalvin, Miles Sanders at running back in the 1st and the 5th, Tony Pollard, Leonard Fournette. I'm going to be interested to see if you go with another running back. Personally, I think you probably want to go with one more. I know that when you get a Miles Sanders and a Dalvin Cook, it seems to be very appealing to go slim, but I don't think these options are enough to just call it a quits at running back for running back 5. Now, receiver, Lamb, Keenan Allen. It's very intriguing to take CeeDee Lamb over Justin Jefferson. Personally, I could never consider it. I couldn't. The thought wouldn't even cross my mind to take CeeDee Lamb over Justin Jefferson. And then T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, Jarvis Landry, Jalen Waddle. Also, what's with this Herbert pick here at the 6'11"? Actually, no, you have Keenan Allen. I'm sorry, ignore me. Okay, so now let's go down. You have Justin Fields. One thing that I hate with this team, man, is when you go through, and I'm sorry to be moving the screen this much. I know it probably looks horrible, but when you drafted Justin Herbert at the 6'11", you're already making such a high level of investment with a Justin Herbert that if this team is going to be any good whatsoever, Herbert already at the very minimum has to be a mid quarterback 1 to a high end quarterback 1. So for you to make that pick and then go through, get a Justin Fields, I am completely fine with it. I think that's a good pick with Justin Fields. But this Baker pick is horrendous. I know Baker was good according to ADP, but once you take Justin Herbert and once you take Justin Fields there, you're done at QB. You're done. You need an extra wide receiver slot. Now you go through it, tight end, you have Gerald Everett, Austin Hooper. And yeah, I think that's a team that is good on paper. I think you need another running back. And I think the main problem is just going through and drafting, just how you went through and you ended up drafting the quarterback position. Like here, you're going to see us draft 3 quarterbacks in this team, but that's because we waited until we got a Matthew Stafford at pick 118. And then we're going through and we're getting guys like Ben Roethlisberger, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold this late. So it's a little bit different there. Okay, Jay Lorenzi says, hey, Mason, I don't understand if consensus is taking Devontae Adams in the top 6. Then why is Rodgers valued so low? Okay, my man, thank you so much for supporting the channel, of course. And a big thing with Rodgers is nobody's going to be surprised if he comes out and he has the passing volume, he has the passing efficiency again to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of his passing yards, his passing touchdowns. But a big thing that Rodgers does not offer compared to the other quarterbacks in that elite range is he does not offer the necessary rushing capability to have the league-breaking potential at the quarterback position. I mean, Rodgers, he simply can't really access a top 3 finish unless he blows away the rest of the field with his touchdown rate. So yeah, I'll say with Rodgers, it's mainly because he doesn't have the mobility in this point in his career. And the other running backs that are in the elite tier, they do. So yes, you can bet on the passing volume, but that can only get you so far in fantasy. Okay, so now here we're going to get a Zach Wilson. So none of our quarterbacks double up on the bye. And if we're drafting 3 quarterbacks, I'm fine with one of them doubling up on a bye. So this construction so far, let me go through. Let me show y'all my draft as well. Okay, so here we took Adams at the 103, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Travis Etienne, Myles Gaskin, Courtland Sutton, Ronald Jones, Higbee, Stafford, Tunyon, Sanders, Hines, Madison, McKissick, Ben Roethlisberger, and Zach Wilson. Let me know what y'all think of this draft, my dudes. I'm not necessarily going to go back to the top just because y'all can rewind 5 seconds, pause it, screenshot it, whatever y'all want to see if y'all need to catch up with the rest of the board. And we just passed 400 likes on the live stream. That is massive. And Mike says, is my team at the 106 as good as I think it is? Okay, let me go through. Let's check out the team at the 106 real quick. Okay, so this is going to be from Deezenators. Mike, I'm happy that I'm able to put a name and a face to Deezenators in all the live streams, in all the drafts. Thank you, my man. Coming out, Zeke at the 106. I really do like the Ezekiel Elliott selection. Then here, Metcalf at the 207, best available player according to ADP. Then Swift, Jacobs, Javonte. I'll say once you go with these 4 running backs, I'm hoping that we don't see another running back the rest of the draft, because if you're going to go and you're going to invest 4 out of your top 5 picks at running back, you're already making such an investment into them that really you can't afford to go and backfill with more running backs. You need to have like 10 slots just for your receivers. Then Metcalf at quarterback, Smith, Curtis Samuel, Noah Fant, Corey Davis, Nelson Aguilar, Marquez Callaway, Gronk. Okay, so I'll say, I don't know. See, personally, I wouldn't know what to do at tight end at this point. I don't know if I'd be rostering 3 tight ends or 2. When you go with Fant, Gronk, like when we went Higbee, Tunyon, I was fine with 2. Wentz, Okay, I do not like your team, to be completely honest, man. I think you're just going to be buried at receiver. Like, I don't think you're going to have enough usable weeks, and you're not going to have enough spike weeks. I understand that the projection right now looks like you're going to have a lot of running backs that have those roles. So in theory, it definitely looks solid. But if we're talking about the top end range of outcomes, I simply don't think you have the firepower wide receiver to get it done. If this was a league where you go through and you're starting one quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, a tight end, and a flex, and it's best ball, then sure, I love it. But when you have to start three receivers each and every week, I don't necessarily think that this is the optimal construction. Jayan says, no one has taken Devin Duvernay yet. Jayan, my man, I got one pick left in this draft, and we already locked in that we're going with the receiver. So don't you worry. Don't you worry. Maybe he goes. Maybe he goes. I'm not going to promise it, of course. Okay, so Van Jefferson at the 1802, Darnold Parham at the 1803. I've seen Darnold Parham go higher and higher in these drafts where that was actually in $1 million draft. And like I said, guys, those public drafts, I just think they were so soft. And that's a big reason why I'm not doing them on the live stream as well, because I would rather be playing against randoms than playing against y'all, to be honest. Because, I mean, I like my shot a lot better when we are going up against a team that drafts 7 running backs in the first 8 rounds. I mean, it is hilarious what people are doing in public leagues. But I've actually seen Darnold Parham go in like the 15th round before, which I thought was like the craziest thing ever. I believe he went ahead of both Austin Hooper and Zach Ertz in that draft. Okay, so Deshaun Jackson at the 1806. I actually took Jackson, I believe, in the same range when he fell, just because Jackson, someone, I swear to God, in a public draft today, and I know I have the weirdest memory in knowing this, but he went in the 13th round in a league. I was like, have you ever been in one of these drafts before? There's no reasoning for ever considering drafting him there. It made no sense whatsoever. Okay, so now we are going to be going with a receiver. Already said this. I honestly don't even like only coming away with 7 receivers, but when we invest so much at the top, when we have Adams, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, Emmanuel Sanders, I think it does make a lot of sense to only draft 7 and to make sure we're using those extra roster spots on running back. Okay, so obviously Jayan wants us to go with a Devin Duvernay. I was honestly, did our guy already go? I was going to go with a Texas receiver. I was probably going to end up going with a Colin Johnson. Is Colin Johnson not available? Looks like Colin Johnson is not available. So instead, I think that possibly we just go with the Dwayne Eskridge. Just someone attached to... I think we just go with someone attached to Seattle. So we're going to go with an Eskridge here. Yeah, so our projections don't matter that much. I don't want to be focusing too much on them. It's going to be that. And everybody saw the draft board. You can rewind it. You can go back. You can pause. Let's set up a new draft. Let's get another draft going because I want to get as many as we can tonight done. So I'm going to ask in the live chat right now because I said we'll 100% do a $50 or $100 league. I'm going to ask which one y'all want. And we have enough people out in this live stream. I'm not worried about having to fill a $50 or $100 league. They're going to fill. They're going to fill. I'm positive with it. Okay, so we just sent that out. And let's get this going, okay? So this is either going to be a $100 or a $50 draft based on what y'all vote on. Let me real quick, while we wait, let's check how many subscribers we're at. Let's see if we are hitting 30,000 yet. Okay, no, we are 70 subscribers, 67 subscribers away to be exact, to hit 30,000. Okay, Harrison says Colin Johnson was right there. Okay, a lot of people are saying Colin Johnson was right there. Okay, well, that is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Clearly, I cannot read. Okay, so let's go through. Swiss says, in the $1 million, everybody tries to go unique. Yeah, that's why I'm not live streaming it. I'll say, like, even if you're trying to go unique, selecting a Deshaun Jackson in the 13th round does literally nothing for you. That doesn't make you unique in the slightest because he's already going to be owned in every single league. So you're not necessarily changing anything there. Okay, so let's go through. Let's see what buy-in we are doing. I just ended the poll. So it looks like we're doing the $100 league. Okay, guys, we're getting a $100 league going here. Do not join one in the public lobby. I'm going through and I'm creating a private one for everybody. Okay, creating a private $100 league right now. I'm going to specify it in the chat. I believe we should have no problems filling it. How many people are in the live stream right now? Yeah, 560. There's going to be no problem filling this. And if you are a hater of the stream, if you are thinking that you are better than me at fantasy football, A, there's a chance that you are. And B, there's a solid reason for you to go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, because when you do that, you get $25 added to your account. You also, at the same time, get my rankings, get my draft guide. So you can go get my rankings, then go up against me in an underdog draft and get paid $25 to do so and take my $100. So we're doing high stakes drafts every single night. And I'm sending them out in the live chat. So if you're a hater, I'm challenging you. I mean, nobody else is doing this. I'm going up against y'all because I am pretty sure that while, yes, there are some of y'all, I mean, I'm not dumb enough to believe that I'm the smartest person in a 560 person live stream. I'm also, at the same time, willing to say that I may not be the smartest person, but I'm probably smarter than 99% of the haters. Okay, so let's get this going. And my God, this $100 draft filled fast. This was the fastest we've had a $100 draft fill. That is crazy. And we get the 107. Okay, so we're getting the 107 here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if this was a Best Ball Mania draft, I would feel very comfortable. We'd go receiver, 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 and then get running backs. Like, I mean, in a Best Ball Mania draft, we're getting Josh Jacobs in the 6th round. Here, we're not getting that kind of value at running back. So it's going to be a little bit of a difficult construction. We'll figure it out, though. We'll figure it out. Connor says, do we just DM you on Twitter when we sign up through Underdog and probably give you our email? Yes, sir. Go to the description of the video. You'll find everything there. Literally, the only thing you have to do is shoot me a DM on either Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Discord, literally anywhere you can reach me. It's everywhere. So even if you don't have social media, we have a Discord chat where all you have to do is click the link, then press my username and shoot me a DM real quick and say, hey, Mason, listen here, you bum, you smelly man who has no idea what he's talking about. I'm sorry, smelly boy who has no idea what he's talking about. I use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. I got my $25 bonus when I deposited $10. Now here's my email address that I did so with. That way I can personally go out there and confirm that you did. And then I'll send you that draft guide to that same email, as well as the rankings, as well as the tiers. And the rankings and tiers are going to be in a link format. That way you can have them updated throughout the entire rest of the offseason. So yeah, definitely make sure you go take advantage of that. And also, nothing helps the channel more. And let's get this going. $100 draft right here. We're going to be up in 3 picks. So you have CMC, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams go. And I want to go with the Tyreek. But the thing is, I know that drafters in this room are going to go a little more running back heavy. So I think we can find receiver value later on. And when we take a Kelsey here, we're only going to have to take one more tight end. So we're going to go with the Travis Kelsey. We're taking Kelsey. I wouldn't do it in a regular league where you have access to the waiver wire, but I am going to do it in a league where, I mean, construction matters a ton, and Kelsey's going to give us kind of a secret key in that we can go through, we can load up on an extra running back, we can load up on an extra receiver based on what our construction looks like so far. NRG says, stopping by to say hi, my guy, making a deep run in a poker tourney for $26,000 for first. That is the life. That is the life, my man. That is crazy. Good luck. Good luck. Have some run good. Everybody, give NRG Fantasy Focus going for $26,000 in a poker tournament right now. Say, let's get some run good going. Let's get some run good going in the chat. Okay, Jordan says, does that include your Dynasty content as well, Mason? Yeah, if y'all use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, I'm actually sending out my Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide as well in that same email. And with that Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, there's over 100 pages of information on what you want with these rookies coming in, and at the same time, what to expect from this year's draft class. So yes, you get my Dynasty content as well. You get hundreds and hundreds of pages of draft guides when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Just deposit $10. And by depositing $10, you're not paying $10. You're just going out there and playing in $10 of fantasy drafts, and they're giving you $25 on top of that. Okay, so Nick Chubb at the 1202. Honestly, when we go Kelsey here, I'm just very relaxed on what we're going to find falling back to us. I mean, I'm kind of fine to go in a bunch of different ways. Okay, so now let's pull this up. I need to stop clicking the wrong button there. Okay, so Barkley went with this team. Let's see where he decides to go. I'm going to keep my mouth shut here as well, like before we're on the clock, guys, because the big thing is, okay, crap, he goes with the Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was the clear value. So if this was like the Best Ball Mania, this was the $1 million league, we're taking DK Metcalf here. But with this being a league like this, I understand that drafters are going to be a little more hungry for running back. So instead, we're going to get Mixon. Instead, we're going to get Mixon at the 206. I would have been over the moon if we had Jonathan Taylor. If we had Jonathan Taylor falling to us there, that would have been one hell of a start. Travis Kelce, Joe Mixon is a very average start, but we simply can't afford to go behind at running back. Now, if this was a Best Ball Mania, you're going to see that wide receivers go way, way, way earlier. So there we have to make a transition. And honestly, there I probably would have taken Tyreek Hill at the 107. But here we have to understand that these drafters, I don't want to say appropriately value running backs, but they value them a lot closer to ADP. It's going to depend on what you think their value should be. So yeah, we're going to get Mixon because you can't fall behind in running back in this league. So BNAST does go wide receiver heavy to start. This is a very similar build to what we had where he goes Adams, Metcalf. We went Adams, Brown to start. Then we ended up getting Jefferson in the third. Now Darren Waller at the 212. Okay, so we got Bogoat in here. Let's go through. Let's see how many new people we have, how many old people. Okay, so we got Deezenators in here. He was just in the last draft. We got K-Dude. I believe that's a new name. Freaking Rikanstraba. I can't say that. That's going to be Mike. Don't necessarily know how to say the username. Raw, that's a regular. T-Bucks, I believe that's a regular. Rob TC, I believe that's new. Dolo, that's new. BNAST, I don't want to say a regular, but he's definitely been in a draft before. Alfred, I believe he's been here. Debo, I believe he is also new. So what you usually find is in the higher stakes drafts, I mean, usually those are the people that are always in here. They're always in the high stakes drafts. Maybe some of them are literally just haters of the channel. They know that they're better than me in fantasy football. Know that they're better than me in fantasy football. And they come out here and they try to take my $100 every time we post $100 every single night. So make sure you go through and subscribe to the channel if you are one of those haters and you want to come take my $100 because I'm putting it on the line every single night. Because I know while there may be, just say there are probably more than one. If out of the 574 people in this live stream right now, there's definitely more than one person smarter than me here. There's probably a handful of people smarter than me. But I would say that with the entire field that we're going against, like with the 570, I have to be in the top 5%. So I'll be willing to go out, and I'm 99% sure we're going to be very positive with our ROI this upcoming year. But of course, I'll be completely transparent with that and show y'all everything. Okay, so now when we're at the 307, honestly, don't even really care to see what falls to us. When we start mixing Kelce, we're just so balanced. It's like a boring draft. Robert Woods at the 305. Okay, so Rob here, he went running back. He took Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris. He gets Allen Robinson here. Okay, so that sucks. Do we go with Amari? The thing is, I definitely want to be taking a receiver in this round. I would have loved to have either Allen Robinson, Robert Woods falling to us. We're just going to take McLaurin. Y'all know that I have been screaming that Terry McLaurin's an overrated wide receiver in fantasy, but I'm screaming that when he's going before Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Keenan Allen in drafts. Now that he's going behind these guys, it's not a pick that I enjoy making. If we go back, I probably prefer the combination DK Metcalf and J.K. Dobbins compared to Joe Mixon, Terry McLaurin. A big thing is the majority of the time we actually have an Allen Robinson falling to us here. We have a Robert Woods falling to us, which of course I can get very excited about. And we have mixed in Amari Cooper in some places. I actually drafted Amari Cooper, I believe in not last night's draft, but 2 nights ago. I drafted him at the 303, 304 range. But a big reason we kind of reached on Amari Cooper there is because he's in a similar tier of all these guys. And what that set up is that set us up with a stack later on to get Dak Prescott in the late 6th at a great value and get that correlation at the same time. I think Amari Cooper is going to be less appealing here at the 307 because I will be less excited about drafting Dak Prescott in the 6th round here. So I don't necessarily get that positive. So we're just gonna get a Terry McLaurin. Okay. So also we just passed 430 likes in the live stream. Thank you everybody going down there and dropping that like. Okay, so Raw does start running back. He has Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, and J.K. Dobbins. Interesting. TJ Lewis says McLaurin should have some explosive games with Fitzmagic. Hopefully. That's what we're hoping for. I believe I have Terry McLaurin in about 4%, probably 4% of my fantasy leagues at this point. Okay, so Kupp at the 401. I really like this build so far. To go with that running back that you believe can be a 3-down guy and then follow him up with a receiver. I really like that construction. Hate drafting Josh Allen here at the 403. I think a lot of drafts you can get Josh Allen coming back to you at this pick. I actually, in another draft, took Stephon Diggs at the 512, and this was just earlier today. That's why I'm bringing it up. And then I ended up getting Josh Allen I took him at the 112, and I got Josh Allen at the 512. Okay, Chris Godwin going off the board. Obviously, we do not like to see that. Now, when we are back up on the clock here at the 406, we have Brandon Ayuk go. So I think we're just going to take a Chris Carson. And this makes me feel better about my Terry McLaurin selection. Because when we're taking Carson here, if we go back, if we remember, I probably would have gone and I probably would have taken, just say, a J.K. Dobbins over Terry McLaurin in the third. And if we would have then followed it up with a wide receiver in the fourth, we would have been going with either a Julio Jones or a Tyler Lockett. And I think we prefer having the combination of Terry McLaurin and Chris Carson compared to J.K. Dobbins, Tyler Lockett. So I think receiver in the third round was the correct choice. I'm just a little bummed about not being able to get Woods or Allen Robinson. Party Till She's Hot says, you'd have to pay me to draft Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, like we have said so many times before, this year, playing with a better offensive line. Giovanni Bernard in his 4 targets per game career average, gone. At the same time, not playing with a rookie quarterback, playing with a second-year quarterback. It's going to be a bell cow running back on one of the better offenses in football. He has the talent to be a 3-down guy. And yes, he got hurt last year. Are we really going to hold that against him? And before that, he was playing on the worst team in football. I think we really need to go through and make a Joe Mixon video, because if we just think about this career arc that we've had for Mixon, can we show him some sympathy here? This is a running back that gets drafted to one of the worst organizations in football. And we go through his recent past in fantasy football that has led him to fall down to the 206, in my opinion, in a fantastic situation this year. So we look at it. Guys, we have to remember in 2019, yes, Joe Mixon let down fantasy owners. Is there a good explanation for that? Let me think. Well, would y'all consider that the Cincinnati Bengals being the worst team in football a good explanation? The Cincinnati Bengals earning the number 1 overall pick to draft Joe Burrow? I think that would be a pretty good explanation for Joe Mixon being a disappointment in fantasy. Then at the same time, last year, Mixon was what? A high-end running back 2 on a points per game basis, mainly fueled off of one blow-up game against Jacksonville. But still, I mean, you've seen him be used as a 3-down running back, and he was playing with a rookie quarterback behind one of, if not the league's worst offensive line. So yeah, he let you down because he got hurt, and they had no incentive to bring him back. I would have bet that they would have actually brought him back, because if we remember, they did not put him on the IR until weeks later, the week after Joe Burrow gets hurt. They put Joe Mixon on the IR. So I'm going to be drafting Mixon confidently, to be honest. Okay, so Jacobs, Travis Etienne go at the 412, 501. So that does make me like our pick of a Chris Carson with the 42nd pick overall. Yeah, I may make a Joe Mixon video. Because I've honestly been drafting him in the middle of the second without even hesitating. I've been completely fine drafting Joe Mixon over a Najee Harris. And I'm completely fine in doing so, to be honest. Okay, so Claypool goes to the 503. And by the way, guys, I know that usually we go through, we talk about our picks a little bit more going up to them. But the problem is, in a $100 draft, I have to keep it shut. I have to make sure that I'm not getting sniped. So we're going to be very silent until we're actually on the clock. It is nice that I'm picking in the middle of the draft so I can go through and I can kind of get my thoughts out. So you have Kareem Hunt at the 504, Adam Thielen at the 505. See where Rob TC decides to go. So he has Kamara, Harris, A-Rob. So he goes Deontay Johnson. Now, y'all know Jamar Chase, I have been screaming that he is an avoid player for us. I don't know how long now. Can we all give me a little bit of credit here? A little bit of credit. I have been like the only person for the past 2 months saying that you should be drafting T. Higgins over Jamar Chase. Everybody else was laughing at me for saying that. And now every single draft has T. Higgins going ahead of Jamar Chase because some beat reporters talking about Chase. Yes, T. Higgins should be going over Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase going in the 4th round like he used to was a very bad draft pick. But here, when we need a receiver, we only have Terry McLaurin on the roster. We're going to get Chase at the 507. Okay, Robbie Anderson at the 510, Hawkinson, Lamar Jackson at the 508. Let me know what y'all think of the Chase selection. He's a receiver that I very rarely have drafted because the majority of the time, at least in the older drafts, he was going in this range. He was going over Brandon Ayuk. He was going over T. Higgins. He was going over Claypool. He was going over Adam Thielen. He was going over Deontay Johnson. But if we're getting Amir at the 507, we're going to go with a Jamar Chase. Okay, Javonte at the 511. When we have two running backs, I honestly like seeing these running backs go off the board. I kind of want a receiver to fall to us. And if we're talking about stacking options, really, we have no stacking options once we pass on a Mahomes there at the 307. And honestly, I'm not even upset that we passed on Mahomes. We're completely fine. I'm not going to be considering drafting Burrow or Ryan Fitzpatrick anytime soon. So we're not even going to consider the quarterback position. Unless we had something ridiculous fall to us. Like if a Josh Allen fell to us in the middle of the 6th round, yeah, I'll take Josh Allen. But okay, so Odell goes to the 602. Now, Mike is back up on the clock. He went Allen, Montgomery, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, and Robbie Anderson. Okay, so he goes Laviska Shenault. Y'all know Shenault is a receiver that I'm in love with. Now, Raw up. He went 3 running backs in Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, J.K. Dobbins. He has Chris Carson, T.J. Hawkinson. How have I just now seen this profile pick for T.J. Hawkinson? I think I might have to lower T.J. Hawkinson down my rankings for that profile pick. Mark Andrews goes, which is a bummer. Now I think we get one of our only shares of Kenny Golladay. It is what it is. We're just going to draft him here at the 606. We need a receiver. He can provide us some spike weeks. So we're going to go with a Kenny Golladay. Not that exciting. I'm not bummed about it, though. Just going to be the best wide receiver available at the 606. Link Dog says 30K, baby. Did we hit 30,000 subscribers? There's no way we already hit 30,000 subscribers, right? Let me check. No, we did not. We are 60 subscribers away. Maybe YouTube's glitching on your end, but I can look at it in studio. We're at 22940. So we are 60 away. We can potentially still hit it in this live stream. If you have yet to drop that like on the stream, and I know 99% of people in here have already done so, make sure you do. Let's get to 30,000 subscribers tonight. Blake says, same thing, never drafting Hawkinson again. I mean, you have to lower TJ Hawkinson down your rankings. Actually, I guess, I don't know, maybe a man that is willing to go in and take a profile pick looking like that, he just has a confidence level I could never imagine. So maybe you actually want to draft him more aggressively. But that is a wild profile pick for TJ Hawkinson. That was funny to see. Steven says, who do you think the top 5 picks are in a PPR dynasty startup non-superflex? Okay, non-superflex, 1, CMC. 2, this is not who your league's going to draft. It's who I would draft, Saquon Barkley. 3, Jonathan Taylor. Hear me out on this one. This is a 1 quarterback superflex league. 4, Najee Harris. And I know it's crazy. I'm not even a massive fan of Najee Harris, but you can't deny that he's a running back that is essentially guaranteed a 300 touch season every year for the next 4 years. That is impossible to come by in Dynasty. So, yeah, I know that I'm probably going to lose a lot of people there with the Najee Harris, but I mean, Najee Harris has to be a top 5 running back in Dynasty. And at the same time, there are just so many receivers that I'm fine kind of moving on from the receiver position and looking at those running backs at the top, especially those running backs on their rookie deals. Okay. So now before us, we have a little run on receiver. We have Michael Gallup, McCole Hardman, Mike Williams. Before that, we had Tyler Boyd, Dak Prescott going all the way to the 612. It would be very intriguing to go through. And if you're playing in the $1 Million League, if you're playing in Best Ball Mania and trying to create a unique lineup, to go CMC, go to CMC, CD Lamb at the 212, and then reach on Amari at the 301, seeing if you can get Dak to fall back to you at the 612, because you would be way, way unique if you did that. Okay. So I know a lot of people are going to hate that Najee Harris call, but guys, if you understand the career arc for a running back and what it does for their dynasty value, I think that honestly, Najee Harris is a top 5 running back in Dynasty. You can't draft him over a guy that's already on their second deal. That's going to be seeing a drastic cut in price next year. So before the Cam Akers injury, Cam Akers was my running back 4 in Dynasty. Chase Edmonds at the 706. I don't want to do it. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word about it. Okay, so let's go through and let's check out the draft board so far. So this team that we have built, we go Kelsey at the 107, Mixon, Carson at running back, and at receiver, we have McLaurin, Jamar Chase, Kenny Golladay, and Cortland Sutton. I know. I understand, guys. Cortland Sutton, back-to-back drafts. Not happy about it, but it is what it is. It was the value at wide receiver. When we have Joe Mixon, when we have Chris Carson, we're wanting to soak up as many receivers as we can before we see them fall off the face of the planet. So yeah, we're going to get receivers here. Philip says he would take Darrell Henderson over Najee Harris. Marlon says Darrell Henderson went to my high school. Were you, okay, when you say he went to your high school, did he go to a high school that you used to go to, or were you in high school at the same time as Darrell Henderson? Now that is the real question, because if you were in high school at the same time as Darrell Henderson, that would be crazy. Okay. So now Raheem Mostert at the 711, Michael Carter at the 708. So that definitely makes us feel a lot better about going out and drafting Chris Carson at the 406 instead of one of those receivers. Bailey says, what would your top 5 picks be in a Dynasty Superflex League? There you go. Mahomes 1, Kyler 2, Allen 3, CMC 4. And then from there, probably Saquon Barkley 5. That's a little more room for debate though. Party Till She's Hot says KJ Hamler over Cortland Sutton. If KJ Hamler outproduces Cortland Sutton this year, you have no idea how much money I'll make. I mean, I will be like Scrooge McDuck swimming through some coins right now. That is exactly what happened. Will says he went to high school with Justin Fields. Y'all are lying. Y'all are lying. There's no way. There's no way someone in this chat went to high school with Justin Fields. Will says played baseball with him and took pre-calculus with him. I do not believe that for a second, even though someone on Patreon, I believe it was like 2 months ago, they went through and they sent me a picture of them in biology lab with Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert was their biology lab partner, which of course is just crazy to think about. Milo says I went to high school with Jerry Rice. Okay, so now I think we just go back to the wide receiver well, to be honest. I need to shut my mouth. I need to shut my mouth. This is a $100 draft. What am I doing? Yeah, I need to learn how to be quiet. I know it's more entertaining when I go through and I talk about the picks like leading up to them. But the problem is there's just too much money on the line for me to do that. I need to. Okay, so he goes Elijah Moore. Thank God we're getting Will Fuller here. Will Fuller is such a good pick. Will Fuller as our wide receiver 5. We are going to be crushing people at receiver in this league, as well as the flex. It's going to be a very exciting draft. So Rodgers at the 807. The problem is I can't necessarily go through and draft an Aaron Rodgers on this build when we don't have any of the Green Bay Packers. And it would be different if it was like the 9th round or something, but I'm not going to be taking Rodgers there. Now, Dolo takes double quarterbacks with Tannehill and Stafford. That is pretty early for both of those guys. Then you have Jarvis Landry at the 809. I mean, I can't imagine taking Tannehill here because if you wanted the combination of Tannehill-Stafford, you could have got Tannehill-Stafford at the 808 and the, what is this, the 905? Yeah, you could have got Tannehill-Stafford, literally that same pairing just later. Okay, Tom Brady at the 810. Okay, so let's switch this around real quick. I see Mike saying Tom Brady was my 2nd grade teacher. Man, are you being serious? Tom Brady was my 2nd grade teacher as well. What year were you in 2nd grade? Were we in the same class? Were we in the same class, Mike? Tom Brady was actually my 2nd grade teacher as well. That's crazy. That is wild. Okay, Andrew says, Mason, get Drew Lock as your last pick. Good upside for some 30-plus point games with a Sutton stack. I will say, as soon as we know who the starting quarterback is going to be in Denver, I'm going to load up a lot of those Best Ball Mania drafts, and I'm going to be drafting a lot of that starting quarterback in the last round, because you go through and you look at the entire player pool, and there's going to be a large subsection of them that have no Denver Broncos quarterbacks. So if you do have Drew Lock announced as the starter, 1 week before the season, I'll be firing up a lot of the $1 million drafts on Underdog, and I'll be drafting a lot of Drew Lock. Okay. So James Conner, Dallas Goedert. Honestly, we really like to see these tight ends go off the board when we have someone like a Travis Kelce, even if Tyler Higbee, Logan Thomas are great values here. When we have Kelce, I think we're just playing catch up on too many other positions to go through and decide to, quote unquote, reach on the tight ends. Because it wouldn't be a reach for someone else, but for us, when we don't have a tight end, I just think that the reason we take Kelce is because we're not taking another one until the end. So Corey Davis goes, and I need to be quiet. I was going to say something else. I need to be quiet. Jack says, if you know who Kendall Milton is, I was just in high school with him. Isn't that the Denver Broncos receiver who played quarterback? Or am I thinking of Kendall Hinton? Is there a different guy with a very similar name? Because I'm pretty sure that he was in high school 6 years ago? Okay, so now we're on the clock. And I think we just get a running back. We just get some guaranteed touches. This time we're going to take James Robinson on this build. So yeah, we're going to take Robinson. I definitely prefer Travis Etienne, but if we're going to get Robinson, we're going to get some guaranteed touches here. I'm going to be fine with it. Running back later on, don't necessarily know exactly what we're going to get. We just took Rojo in the last draft. And at the same time, I'm a little concerned when you actually do have Giovanni Bernard going out there and getting snaps with the first team offense. So we're going to get James Robinson there. Philip says, need another combine video this year, Mason. How about this? Let's come up with some fun ideas if we hit a certain amount of number of Underdog signups with promo code FLOCK. So we already have, if we hit 10,000, I'm doing a 24-hour live stream. We're flying people to Tampa, Florida. We are going through and going to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. We're doing a Florida Flock meetup. We're vlogging all of it. So what are some other fun ideas? So we can do another NFL Combine video if y'all want, but let me know some more ideas to throw on this Underdog giveaway of what we could potentially do. Zach Moss, the 1001. So another combine video is an interesting idea. I almost thought of putting the thing is, I wish I did more interesting things during the day, but the problem is my life is literally just fantasy football. So if I was going to make a daily, if I was going to make a vlog of a day or something, I essentially already do that because I just sit at this desk for 18 hours. The only time I'm not at this desk is if I go to the gym or go take the dog to the dog park. The dog park's literally a 10-second walk from my apartment. So I wish I could make y'all vlogs or something to be a little interesting, as kind of like a giveaway over on Patreon. But the thing is, I just don't do anything. I just literally just play fantasy football, and I already stream that 99% of the time. Okay, so now when we're on the clock again. So the tight ends are just such good values here. I can't take one. We're going to go with another receiver. So I know a lot of people want Michael Thomas. I can't take Michael Thomas. He's on my do not draft list. I cannot. Curtis Samuel looks like he's going to practice soon. So we're going to go with a Curtis Samuel here, way behind ADP, the 20 picks behind ADP. Yeah, so we're going to go through. We're just going to continue to load up on receivers. I think that's kind of the meta that you're going to see in this kind of format. So yeah, I'd love to get a Curtis Samuel there at the 1006. CX Lids says, I went to high school with Jeff Bezos. He asked me to go to space with him, but I had to decline so I could watch the stream. That is crazy. I actually just got off a call with Jeff Bezos, and he actually just offered me, I don't know, since it's in a contract, if I'm actually technically allowed to say, but upwards of $1.2 billion to run a sports media thing that he's going to start up. But the problem is the Fantasy Flock Network came in with a much more aggressive offer. So I had to tell him, Jeff, I appreciate you, but I'm going to have to respectfully decline. So that is really cool. Maybe if I knew your connection with Jeff Bezos by going to high school with him and he wanted you to go to space, maybe I could have had you go to space and try to negotiate with us a little bit, get that number closer to 2.1 instead of 1.2. But yeah, I had to decline. Party Till She Saw It says, imagine hitting 30,000 subs and to not do a draft with me. If we hit 30,000 subs tonight, I promise you, if we get done with this draft and we have 500 people still in the live stream, we're 100% doing another draft. I promise you that. We're 50 subscribers away from 30,000. We are right there, my man. We are right there. Okay, so Gus Edwards, Kenyon Drake, Justin Fields. So we also have yet to draft a quarterback on this team. Palak says, how many leagues are you in total? I'm closing in on 100 leagues, my man. Okay, and that's obviously for this year. That's obviously for this year. Okay, so now at receiver, thank God we've gone and we hit the receiver position heavily. I mean, we have McLaurin, Chase, Golladay, Sutton, Fuller, Curtis Samuel. Because receiver looks like it's really drying up here. I mean, we go through, you got Bateman, Gabriel Davis, Traquan Smith, Nelson Aguilar. And some teams are going to have to kind of reach on receiver. They're not necessarily going to have an option. Whereas we do have the ability to go through and continue to look elsewhere. So here we're going to go with the Jalen Hurts. I know we don't have any stacks with the Philadelphia Eagles offense, but a great thing when you're drafting a Jalen Hurts is this is a quarterback that you're mainly betting on the rushing upside. So the passing volume doesn't necessarily have to be there if he's going to hit in fantasy. And we know that the passing volume is going to correlate well with the receivers. So, I mean, I think that Jalen Hurts, if you're going to go with a quarterback that's not stacked, it's going to be the perfect option. And my God, guys, let's go through. I just want to show off this team real quick. This has been a fantastic draft. I think that we handled this work nicely, and considering that this is a $100 league, I am very excited about it. So here, Kelsey at the 107, Mixon, Carson, Robinson at running back, but more importantly, we are just crushing people at receiver. McLaurin, Jamar Chase, Kenny Golladay, Cortland Sutton, Will Fuller, Curtis Samuel, and throw on the fact that we have Travis Kelce. I love this team so far. I mean, this team's going to be fantastic. Now, I don't know if we're going to be drafting. I know we're only drafting 2 tight ends with this build. I don't know if we're going to be drafting 2 or 3 quarterbacks yet. I think it's going to depend on where our second quarterback is. Like if a Trevor Lawrence would have fallen to us in the 12th, then we most likely would have only drafted 2 quarterbacks. But here, I think that's fine. Swizz says, I personally hate this draft for you, Mason. I honestly really like it, man. I mean, if we're going construction-wise, I think we got players at ADPs way beyond where they usually go. Like, if we pull this up, let me go and let's look at all my draft picks compared to their ADP. And you're going to see that literally almost every single guy we've taken considerably after their ADP, and we've made it fit with the roster nicely. Like, we take Jalen Hurts 20 picks behind his ADP. We take Mixon 1 pick ahead, whatever, it's 1 pick. Then Chris Carson, we take him 4 picks behind. James Robinson, 8 picks behind. McLaurin, 3. Jamar, 9. Kenny Golladay, 3. Sutton, 6. Fuller, 3. Curtis Samuel, looks like 20. And then we also get Travis Kelce behind his ADP. This is a fantastic draft. Okay. Now we're going to get Jamal Williams as a running back that we know that has a guaranteed role on his offense. He actually saw every single snap whenever Jared Goff was in the game this past week. So yeah, we're going to get Jamal Williams here as our running back 4. And I definitely think we need to draft 3. I'm sorry, we need to draft 1 more running back. We need to draft 5 running backs on this team. But I think we have a very high floor and ceiling at the position currently. Now Matt Ryan goes to the 1207. Like guys, I mean, looking at this draft, we got Curtis Samuel behind Ruggs, Rondell Moore, Hollywood Brown, Devontae Parker, Marvin Jones, Russell Gage. We got him behind Corey Davis. We got him like literally almost 2 rounds behind Darnell Mooney. This is a fantastic draft. Fantastic draft. Okay, so Gerald Everett at the 1209. We want to see those tight ends go off the board. I think at this point, now that we have a running back and a receiver kind of squared away, and of course we're still needing to add players to the position, but we have the base core down, we can go and we can draft a second tight end if need be. So yeah, let's monitor that. We can draft a tight end here if we think that it's going to be a decent value, but I think we're mainly kind of done. Okay, so also it looks like wide receivers have dried up because you look, and out of the past 2 rounds, you've only seen 8 wide receivers total get drafted. And obviously, receiver is going to be the most drafted position in every single draft. So that is interesting. So I'm trying to go and look at the top and see if there are going to be any weird teams. Okay, K-Dude looks a little weird. It looks like he currently has more running backs than he has receivers. Let's go and let's check this roster out. So he has Chubb, Javonte, Mostert, Rojo, Latavius Murray. I think if I would draft 5 running backs there, I would be done. And at receiver, you have Hill, Amari, Odell, Hollywood. Yeah, I think this team, you're going to see it really scramble to catch up with the receiver. I mean, you're going to see receiver, receiver, receiver in the next couple rounds. Right? I mean, it's a strong team so far. I think it's just you're going to have to complete the build. Okay, so J.D. McKissick at the 1304. Let's pull this up, see where we're going to be drafting. Adam Troutman, a piece of news. What happened? Finishes without a target. Not too concerned. 16 snaps. What we'll probably do here is I think we'll probably go running back in a Nyheim Hines. He doesn't overlap with any of our other players. I think we're going to go running back. Philip says his receivers are just as good as yours. In a regular league where you submit your starting lineup each and every week, my man, I'm not going to argue with you on that one. But if you're talking about a best ball format, then you are just completely wrong, to be honest. Just completely wrong. I mean, the fact that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers that are all going to be seeing a considerable amount of snaps and targets on their respective offenses with spike week potential. In a format like this, that is just killer. Okay, Boggo comes out, says, Mason, can you rate my draft? I am loving it. Yes, sir. Let me go through. Let's pull this up. Okay, so this is going to be for Rugger at the... I swear to God, man, maybe I am misremembering things, but I swear you get the 101 so often. So often. Another Christian McCaffrey team. Here you have CMC, Darren Waller, CeeDee Lamb. I think I honestly would have gone with those 3 exact picks as well. I mean, getting Darren Waller falling to you at the 212 is just a gift. Then Jacobs, Etienne in the 4-5 turn. Dak Prescott to stack with a CeeDee Lamb. I'm assuming you just went receiver, 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 receiver after this. And you get Michael Gallup. You get the double stack with Dak, Lamb, Gallup. Cooks, Darnell, Marshall, Kenyon Drake. I'm assuming you're probably done at running back after getting Drake. Cole Beasley, Tua Tagovailoa. I don't necessarily know if I love the Tua pick once you get a Dak Prescott. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I think I would personally probably rather wait on quarterback just a little bit. Okay. So let's pull this back up. So Adam Troutman really falling down. People are that scared about him not getting a target. Honestly, I think if he falls here, we're going to take him. I mean, right now, this is almost 30 picks behind his ADP. We're going to take Troutman. We're going to take Troutman. Does not have the same bye week as a Travis Kelce. So we are fine in that regard. So yeah, we're going to take Troutman. We are done at tight end. And now we are going to go through and just try to pound these receivers because we are done at running back, done at tight end. We need 2 more QBs, 2 more receivers. So yeah, I think this roster is close to being complete. I really like the construction that we had. And we are about to pass 500 likes. And since we are literally at 500 likes, we're doing another draft after this, no matter what. I'll ask y'all in the chat what y'all want between a $5 and a $50 league because we just did a $100 league. So I know that, I mean, I'm not doing another 100. I don't even know if it would get filled, even though this one got filled really fast. We can do another $100 draft tomorrow night, but I can't afford to just continue to go 100. That's obviously not sustainable whatsoever. And I need to make sure that we're able to live stream leading up until the year. I need to make sure that. Okay, so Philip Lindsay at the 1408. AJ Green at the 1409. And also, guys, if you are enjoying these live streams, make sure you go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy because giving you a heart-to-heart right now, I have so much fun doing these. And a big thing is with this sponsorship is it's our first partnership ever. And I would love to do this next year as well. So please help me make this partnership go well. Use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. They're adding $25 to your account when you make a $10 deposit. They're also going through and sponsoring our 2021 draft guide. You get our draft guide, you get our rankings, you get our tiers, and they are allowing us to fly people to Tampa, Florida. They're paying for us to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. They're also sponsoring a Florida Flock meetup. If we hit 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy, this video, I promise you, is going to crush 10,000 views. So we can all do this together. We can all do this together. I mean, if we all today went through and made that step, then y'all wouldn't have to hear this. We would hit that 10,000 goal and we'd be golden. Okay, No Chill Bill says another draft. Let's go. Yes, sir. I'll get another draft going. Thank you, of course, for being in the live stream. Still supporting the channel. Now, KJ Hamler all the way at the 1502. Y'all know how much I love KJ Hamler, and I've said it. Well, it was fun to go through in victory lap with the KJ Hamler big game. At the same time, it kind of hurt me a little bit in me thinking, well, that's the end of us getting a massive value on a KJ Hamler. That's kind of the end of that. So now, if you're going to want to draft KJ Hamler, instead of us getting him in the 17th, 18th round in every single draft, now that we're going to have to take him at the beginning of the 15th, sometimes I've seen him go at the end of the 14th. Yeah, just a sad day, because obviously KJ Hamler is the same exact talent he's always been, just now more people know about him. So it is what it is, but we're going to have no shot with him in this draft. Now, Hunter Henry at the 1505. I'm just keeping my mouth shut until we get on the clock. A couple of different things that I'm thinking about here. So T.Y. Hilton goes. Hilton 100% would have been my pick. So now we're done at quarterback. We're done at running back. We're only looking QB receiver. So if we're looking QB receiver, I honestly really don't like Fitzmagic this upcoming season. But a big thing is if we're ever going to be drafting him in a league, we should be drafting him in a league where we took Terry McLaurin in the third. At the same time, he's 20 picks behind his ADP. So we'll go and we'll just take Fitzmagic there. I'm sorry, not 20 picks behind his ADP, 16 picks behind his ADP, but still the same case. And we know that we want to have all two or three, every quarterback that we're drafting, you need to draft them before we get to round 17. Because round 17, you're going to see that fall off in a lot of drafts. So I think we honestly kind of want to go QB in these next two rounds and then go receiver at the end. So yeah, we're going to get Fitzmagic there at the 1507. Okay, so Eric says, I'd like to know what you think of my draft at the 104. Yes, sir, I'll go through and look at that, but let me real quick just make sure that we're going to get our next pick in time. And thank God we went with a quarterback here in Ryan Fitzpatrick at the 1507, directly after seeing Zach Wilson, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones go. So yeah, I mean, we needed to go QB there. Honestly, maybe a blessing disguise that T.Y. Hilton did end up getting drafted one pick before us. We also just hit 500 likes in the live stream. That is massive, my dudes. Thank you so much. Gavin says, guys, my sister just had a baby. Gavin, congrats on being an uncle, my man. That is crazy. I'd FaceTime her. If you're not with them, FaceTime them. If you are with them, turn off this live stream, my man. Okay, let's go through and let's pull up our next one. Anthony says, how can I get into the next draft? Make sure you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Then be on the lookout for the link that I'm going to be sending in the live chat saying join our $5, join our $50 draft here, whatever y'all decide it to be. Okay. So now we're exclusively going QB receiver. If we're looking at teams that possibly need a quarterback behind us, so BNAST here only has one QB. A lot of other teams have two. Yeah, every team behind us only has one or two quarterbacks. So I think we definitely need to be drafting a QB here because we could be looking at something really gross on the way back. Now, if we pull up the receivers that we could potentially stack with, I don't see any main options. And we got a double stack with this team. Oh my God, this team is set. Yeah, we don't see any options. So I guess we just go with someone. Let's make sure they don't line up with our buys. So we're going to go Darnold. I know that Ben Roethlisberger technically ahead of him in ADP, but if we're going to be in a $100 draft, I think we prefer Sam Darnold with the weapons that he actually has. So we're going to go through. We're going to go Hurts, Fitzpatrick, Sam Darnold. And Will says, Mason, check Discord after the draft. Yes, sir, I definitely will. I'm going to go through and I'm going to send out a ton of draft guides through Discord, through Instagram, through Twitter for anybody who's signed up with promo code FLOCK. So I definitely need to go through and check all those right after the draft. But let's go back and let's look at Eric's team at the 104. He went Adams, Metcalf, Keenan. So a very similar start to what we had in the last draft. Then Sanders, Hunt, Sermon, Russell Wilson to get the stack with a DK Metcalf at a massive value at the 704. Jarvis, Corey Davis, Logan Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Gerald Everett, JD McKissick, AJ Green, Jared Cook, Jared Goff. Okay, so I think that this is a team that definitely needs to probably go with 1 or 2 more running backs. But I love this team for being asked. I think he did a better job drafting a 3 wide receiver start than we did. I really like what he did here. I think that possibly we should have pivoted over and we should have gone with a running back a little earlier, just like you did. Okay. So now let's switch that back over there. And then, yeah, you have Mac Jones, Jared Goff, Ben Roethlisberger all going off the board. So that's a big thing. And just identifying the teams that only have 1 to 2 quarterbacks. Like if we would have looked behind us and we would have seen a lot of teams that had 2 to 3 quarterbacks, then I possibly would have passed on a Sam Darnold, thinking we could have gotten one of them on the way back. But with just the landscape of how the draft was going, if I passed on to Darnold there, we would have had no shot at them. And also, I did not even notice this when we took Fitzpatrick. I probably should have been paying attention a little bit more. But we also have Curtis Samuel on this team. I wish this was a Best Ball Mania team, to be honest. CX Lids says, me going up against the 500 people spamming their mouse on the chat for the link. Yeah, if we do a $5 draft, there's going to be 500 people spamming that mouse to get into the draft. Taylor says, what are your thoughts on AJ Green this year? In Underdog Fantasy, when you really need to try to chase those spike weeks, I think AJ Green is intriguing. In a regular format where you're going through and submitting your starting lineup each and every week, probably not that interested. This is by far and away the furthest I've ever seen Anthony Firkser fall in a draft. The furthest. That is wild. His ADP is 169. We are about 30 picks away from where he usually goes. I can't take him, though. I literally can't. We have Kelsey and Troutman on this team. The only position that I think we can reasonably take, maybe we could go running back. We have Mixon, Carson Robinson, Jamal, and Naheem Hines. We could go running back if we want. I'm a little worried that DeMarcus Robinson saw a ton of snaps with the first team, so I think we need to kind of slow down on how aggressively we've been drafting Byron Pringle. Let's just get in Nico Collins. I know that. Actually, no. You know what? We're going running back. This is crazy. I hate building 3-6-7-2. I mean, I think receiver is going to be a better play there 9 times out of 10. But I just think James White scores more points than those other players. If we were playing in a Best Ball Mania draft with $1 million on top, I would never consider making that pick. But in a closed 12-man league, while I wanted to stop at 5 running backs, it's not like we were set with these guys either. Maybe getting a White makes sense. It's 21 picks behind ADP. We can find a receiver that we like in the last round. Hopefully that didn't ruin it for us. Okay, let me go through. Let me see how close we are on 30,000 subscribers. And guys, we are getting another draft going after this. Okay, so we are literally the exact same. We are just as far away as we were about 5 minutes ago. I need to stop checking this. I'm just going to break my heart, to be honest. Okay, so Byron Pringle at the 17-11. That's one of the receivers that we were considering. Like I said, I think we need to back off when we see DeMarcus Robinson and how many snaps he's playing this upcoming year. Clay says, Lance is the next big thing. Yes, sir. You know, I've been screaming about Trey Lance all offseason. I mean, I am so ready. So ready. You do not believe how ready I am to yell at everybody who is drafting Justin Fields over Trey Lance in Dynasty this offseason. How wrong they were when we get a full season under our belt. And how everybody who laughed at me for saying that Trey Lance was in a completely different tier compared to Justin Fields and that you shouldn't have been considering him next to Justin Fields. You should have been considering him next to Trevor Lawrence. We used to get laughed at for saying that, and I am ready to run some victory laps as soon as we get to the year. And I know obviously we can't run victory laps now, even though I want to, considering that Trey Lance is now going significantly higher than what you have with Justin Fields in high stakes redraft leagues, which obviously makes a major difference in terms of their projections this upcoming season. I just can't though. Okay, so now let's pull this up real quick. Now, we only have one position we can look at. That's going to be a receiver. And your T-Bucks, So they go Tevin Coleman. So we get our guy that literally we were going to take in the last round. We're going to get Nico Collins here. This is probably, I want to remind everyone, these projections aren't that useful and you shouldn't be going off of them. But this is one of the higher teams that I've gotten projected in a 12-man format, 3,200. And if we go through, let's recap this draft for anybody who is just now coming in here. That way you can go down. You can take a screenshot if you need to. So we drafted from the 107. We went Kelsey, Mixon, McLaurin, Carson, Chase, Galladay, Sutton, Fuller, Robinson, Samuel, Jalen Hurts, Jamal Williams, Naheem Hines, Adam Troutman, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Sam Darnold, James White. This was an insane stretch of no receivers. We went 7 rounds in the middle of the draft not drafting a receiver. That is very uncharacteristic of me, to be completely honest. That's very, very uncharacteristic of me. Okay, so now let's go through. We literally have more likes in this live stream right now than live viewers. Let's go through. Let's get another draft going. I'm going to right now ask y'all in the live chat if y'all want a $5 or a $50 draft. We're not going to do another $100 draft. I wish I had that kind of money, but we can't do that. I wish we could do $100 drafts every night, but I'm sorry, multiple $100 drafts every night, but I want to be able to at least cap it at one. So let's go through. Let's set up a 5 or a 50. And like I said, guys, the $5 drafts, they are very hard to get in. We're sending this link out to 500 people. So it's going to be absurdly hard to get in. $50 league, $100 league, a lot easier considering the fact that, I mean, everybody's willing to go pay $5 to get in one of these drafts. And keep in mind, I mean, the winner gets, first, second, and third place get paid, not just the winner. So it's not like you're paying $5 to just get in a draft and then you have no shot at winning. No, it's just how good of a drafter you are. I think I'm a better drafter than the majority of the people in here. Okay, so now let's go. Let's turn that off and get this next one going. Okay, let me end this poll and see what we ended at. I think everybody had a chance to vote by now. Okay, let's see what the results came in at. Okay, 52% of people voted for a $5 league. So it was neck and neck. If you're not voting in these polls and you want to see something in particular, you better go out there and you better fix that because these drafts are neck and neck. And let's get a $5 draft set up real quick. Let me grab a link to share this. I'm going to send this in the live chat. I'm going to make it very clear that it's the private draft. Go join our $5 draft here. Don't join one in the lobby. We're not going to be drafting in the lobby. I want to draft just with the subscribers of this channel on this live stream. Okay, so we just went through and we just got that going. And it's going to fill literally right away. It fills immediately. And I know it looks like it goes a little slower than that, but that's just Underdog having to load people in. Like if you didn't click it within the first 10 milliseconds, honestly, you probably didn't get in. The 112, this is the first time we have ever picked at the 112. I'm honestly excited. I'm excited. We have done maybe 100 drafts. Not on just Underdog, but total this offseason, we've probably done 100 drafts, and I don't know if we've drafted at the 112 in a single one. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting draft. We also have JN out here at the 105. We have Chimichanga, who was in the draft earlier today. Sir Dilly out here, a regular. T Coffee, a regular. Zachary, a regular. We got a lot of regulars in this draft. Jay Lindsay, Takashi 69. I believe they have maybe been in one draft before. Definitely not. I wouldn't consider them a regular. Fully Loaded, a regular. Devo Stations, definitely been in these. Chimichanga, regular. I think Doc is maybe the only non-regular here. This is like a draft full of OG flock members. That is crazy. Blake says, can I make a free best ball league for my friends and I? Blake, I have the best news for you on the planet, my man. Strap in and listen to this. If you want to do something that you could not comprehend how much it would help this channel, if you want to introduce your friends to Underdog Fantasy and get them to deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you could go through and set up not free leagues, but $3 leagues. $3 leagues. So if your friends and you go and deposit $10, you'll get a $25 bonus added on. y'all can go through and do 11 $3 drafts. Y'all can do a draft every single night. Y'all can sit there and do multiple drafts at the same time. And if you use promo code FLOCK, that helps us tremendously, obviously. And at the same time, I mean, it'll be a lot of fun. And while they're not free, I think if Underdog Fantasy is adding on $25 to your account when you use promo code FLOCK, essentially they're free. I would say they're better than free. I'd say that you're getting paid to do them. Luke says, how did the regulars always get in? I click on it right away and I am never able to get in. My man, I have no idea. Maybe they have extra good internet. Maybe JN here pays for God knows what. I don't know anything about internet. Okay, Eckler goes, we're going to go with something that we have seen time and time again, and we have never had the chance to go through and actually implement it ourselves. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to go with a running back. I'm going to go Stephon Diggs, Jonathan Taylor. I kind of wanted to go Diggs, Ridley, because when you're looking at teams that are drafting from the 112, literally every single team goes Diggs, Ridley. But now, let's mix it up. Let's go Diggs, Taylor. Nick coming out with a donation says, doing another $50 draft after this one. My man, I don't know. I will say maybe. Okay, I can't promise it because this draft is going to get done at like 12:45 for me. And obviously, I'm going to have to be up for a couple hours sending out all those draft guides for everybody who used promo code FLOCK. So it'll be tough. It'll be tough because I also have to be up at like 7 tomorrow morning, like I am every morning. So let's see what my energy is like when we get there. Let me see what my energy is like. Okay, so Gibson, Joe Mixon going after Ridley and Hopkins. Okay, so it's just a very standard draft so far. I literally don't see a single thing that stands out. I mean, if you're new to the station, if you're new to the show, you're going to see Devontae Adams at the 103 and lose your mind. But I honestly think it's standard, and you see a lot of other people in this channel doing the same thing. Okay, guys, I know a lot of people. Want a $50 draft next. It's mainly, can my body handle? It's mainly, can I go through and continue to talk? Because like I said, let me check how many people we have recently had sign up for Patreon, because I make podcasts every single day on Patreon. And if y'all can not tell, my voice is kind of starting to go. Like I talked to my girlfriend on the phone today, and she said I sounded horrible because I just got done recording God knows how many podcasts, a video, live streaming every single night. So it's taking a toll. I will say that. Let me go through. Let me see how many people have recently joined Patreon. Try to take a guess on how many podcasts I'm going to be making tomorrow. Okay. It looks like the answer is a lot. Yeah, it looks like we're about to pass 850 people on Patreon. That is wild. And literally at the beginning of this offseason, I almost made a goal because I thought it would never. Literally, at the beginning of this offseason, I'll be the first one to admit, I almost made one of like the incentive goals on Patreon. If we hit 1,000 people, I would get a tattoo of the Flock logo somewhere on me. It would probably be on my ass. And thank God I did not do that, because I thought there was literally a 0.0000% chance that we would hit 1,000 people on the Flock Patreon. But at this point, I'm starting to think it's happening. So thank God we didn't go through and do that. Blake says, I used your code, brother. I'm from South Florida, so I got you, my guy. My man, thank you so much. Honestly, I'm excited for whenever I have some more free time after the season's over. That way I can go through and I can explore Florida some more, because right now I've done nothing to explore Florida just because I'm just clearly working. Okay, so let's go through and test something out. And also, I recently just started a TikTok just because I assume that there are going to be people on TikTok sometime soon doing fantasy football. So I was like, okay, well, obviously we got to be there. So that's another thing that I got to add. So let me see how my voice is feeling at the end of this draft and determining if we're going to be doing another one after this. Okay, so Mahomes at the 307. Now let's pull this over here. Okay, so we're honestly really happy to see Mahomes. I didn't even want to be tempted with him at the 3-4 turn. I definitely wouldn't have drafted him. So I am happy to see him go off the board. Now Dobbins goes at the 308. See, this is kind of why I decided to go with the Taylor here, because I knew that when we were coming up on this next pick, I was going to probably want to go receiver. And if we wouldn't have taken a Taylor, I don't know if we could have necessarily done it. We could have, but when we're in the live stream, a lot of people try to come after us. A lot of people try to snipe us. So imagine that everybody would then just as a reaction, drive running back value up, and I would be sitting out with absolutely nothing. There's a big reason why we went with a Jonathan Taylor. And now I think we just take 2 receivers here, call it a day. Fantasy Dog says, Mason, don't swim in lakes, alligators inbound. I got you, my man. Do not worry. I will not go around swimming in lakes. Okay, so we're going to go with a Cooper Kupp here for our first pick, and I think we're going to go with a Chris Godwin for a second. I just want Chris Godwin to be one of my most owned receivers this year. I mean, Chris Godwin, betting on the volume, betting on the younger receiver. I mean, he literally had more points per game last year than Mike Evans. He had multiple injuries. On top of that, with the Chris Godwin, this is someone that had more targets per game. And he came in 2017. Mike Evans came in 2014. He's significantly younger than Mike Evans. It's crazy to me that people are taking Evans over Godwin. So we're going to take Chris Godwin here at the 401. I like this start that we have Diggs, Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, and a Chris Godwin. Blake says, hey, if you come down to Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, I can show you around. Maybe go to a Dolphins game because a big crew and I are going to the Dolphins Bucks October 10th. My man, October 10th, literally my birthday. I really do appreciate the invite. And I'll say that I cannot really go to any NFL games. Like, I know that a lot of people have reached out wanting me to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with them, not just for the overall giveaway that we're doing through Patreon. I'm sorry, not through Patreon, through Underdog, if we get 10,000 signups with promo code FLOCK. But I can't begin to describe what my schedule looks like during the fantasy football season. I'll literally be live streaming every single night. And on top of that, I'll be live streaming every single Sunday morning leading up until kickoff. So yeah, during the season, my man, I just can't do anything. Like, I'll go through, and if we get 10,000 members signing up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, then we're going to go pick a game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's about like 4 p.m. EST. That way I can still make sure that we live stream leading up till kickoff. And there, we'll have a lot of fun. We'll go through. I won't worry about getting out videos later that day. But if it's just going to be a regular Sunday, I got to make sure I'm making videos. I got to make sure that I'm going through answering Patreon questions, doing the overall live stream. So yeah, I appreciate it, my man. I just can't. Okay, Green Monster coming out says, hey, Mason, was around a lot last season, but I've been busy this year. Been watching most of the videos, though, and I've been doing a ton of Underdog drafts. Keep up the great work, my man. Man, thank you so much for coming out, supporting the channel. I mean, I swear to God, I know that I sound like I'm lying. And of course, if I heard someone like a streamer say this out loud, I would just naturally assume that they were lying, and I completely understand why. But I swear to God, I do recognize your name. So thank you so much for coming out again. I know that you came out to a lot of the live streams last year. And No Chill Bill coming out with a donation. And he says, Mason, with the growth you're seeing, do you think it'll make sense to hire people to delegate work? Parentheses, sending out draft guides, cross-referencing people signing up on Underdog. My man, I'll say, I don't think I can necessarily hire people. Like, it would be nice if I was like, oh yeah, money's unlimited. I can go through and hire people. Like, one of the big reasons I can afford to go through and do this full time is because I kind of like work 6 jobs at once. You know what I mean? So it will definitely have to be streamlined, because I didn't expect this many people to want the draft guide, and I didn't expect this many people to enjoy the draft guide and everything that comes along with that. So next year, I'll definitely find out a system that we can do better with. I'm probably going to have some things in the works this off season. So yeah, next year it will be different. I don't necessarily think I can go through and hire people, but it is what it is. Party Till She Saw says, ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working man on YouTube. Yes, it's not even... I'm sure that if any of y'all had the potential to go through and make fantasy football videos all day and draft fantasy football teams all day, y'all would do the same thing. It's not me working. It's me just doing what I like. It's not working whatsoever. Okay, so now let's go through. Let's stop talking about me. Nobody cares in this live stream about me. Maybe like 5 people do. 99% of people care about the draft. So let's go back to the draft here. Okay, so after we take Godwin, I'm honestly kind of surprised to see that the running backs go off in the 4th round here and really nothing's getting pushed down to the 5th. Now, I am fine with this. We will continue to take receiver value if it falls to us at this turn. So the other teams here, we have to take note. These teams kind of a very similar structure to us, at least through 4 rounds. None of them really went heavy with running back either. They went heavy on receiver. So if we take note of a lot of teams here going heavy on receiver and light on running back, possibly this is an overall room where we want to continue that trend. Now, oh my God, I would have loved it if a Mark Andrews fell here and we could go Lamar and Mark Andrews. That would have been perfect. But here we are going to go, actually, it doesn't matter. We're going to go Josh Allen. We have the stack with a Stephon Diggs. I guess you do have already the teardrop at receiver. And y'all know I'm a massive fan of Kareem Hunt. I think that Kareem Hunt's a must-draft player, especially in a format like this. TJ Hawkinson, it's just going to be a lot harder for me to draft him now that he has this profile pick here. I mean, it's just a lot less exciting. I don't necessarily know what we're getting ourselves in for. We're going to go with a Kareem Hunt. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. We're going to go with Hunt, though. I mean, Hunt is just someone I want to make sure that we are very much exposed to Kareem Hunt, because I think Kareem Hunt's one of those players that if you didn't have him this year, you can end up losing. Okay, CX Lids says, did you get any closer to 30,000? Because I am close to making 60 accounts. I will check. I will say right now, guys, the last thing I would ever want you to do for this channel, and I'm not just saying this to be like, oh, don't do it. No, no, no. It would legitimately hurt our channel so badly if y'all go through and make fake accounts and subscribe to it. Because what would happen is, guys, YouTube owns Google. I mean, Google owns YouTube. Obviously, they have so many things in place of trying to determine that fraudulent activity. So there are a bunch of bogus accounts subscribing to this channel. Then it would really hurt the channel. Like, it would put the channel in jeopardy. So the last thing I would ever want y'all to do is do that. And I'm not even saying like, oh no, don't do it, blah, blah. I'm saying, please do not do it. I do not want to get suspended. I do not want anything like that to happen. I will check how many subscribers we are away, though. We are 30 subscribers away from 30,000. We are almost there, my dudes. We are almost there, my dudes. Okay, so now let's go through and Laviska Shenault at the 606. Let me know what y'all think. Seriously, let me know what y'all think of a Kareem Hunt or a TJ Hawkinson at the 601. Hawkinson, obviously a better player according to ADP. I'm just a little bit worried with this room not letting running back value fall back to us. And also, we do save an extra roster spot. When we go with the Josh Allen here, we can afford to go with 3 tight ends. We don't have to go with 2. So the Hawkinson bump that we may get isn't necessarily as profound. So let me know what you are thinking. I could easily be overthinking that. Okay, so Juju at the 608. See best players available. I just want to see kind of the landscape here. Okay, so Gaskin continuing to fall. Gaskin should be a player falling, to be honest. I mean, literally Malcolm Brown looked like the starting running back in Miami. Malcolm Brown was the starting running back. I don't think that lasts that long, but at the same time, it kind of tells you where they stand on a Myles Gaskin currently. Dak Prescott goes to the 611. Let's see if okay, so he did take CeeDee Lamb, so you get Dak Prescott in the CeeDee Lamb stack. It's honestly very common. I think that 99% of teams that draft Dak Prescott either have one of CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper, and based on where Lamb goes in a draft, I mean, the majority of the time you are expecting Prescott to get stacked with Lamb. Party till she saw it coming out with another donation. Thank you, my dude. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so now let's switch back to the draft board. I know most people prefer seeing the draft board, even though I kind of like seeing it from that view. Okay, so Gallup here. Okay, so Chimichanga going very heavy on receiver. This is honestly kind of what I like to do. I know I always say I like to do it, and we never do it. But still, we look at him. He goes CMC, Waller, Jefferson, Chase, Claypool, AB, Michael Gallup. A very strong start. This is like literally the perfect start that you could have for a Christian McCaffrey team. If we went through, if we tried to change anything, honestly, I don't know if I could. I like how he snipes Doc here from getting the double stack with Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. Gallup, I actually think, was a big-time winner from the preseason because he was getting snaps in the slot. Okay, so Chase Edmonds here at the 703. Tyler Boyd. We know that none of these players are falling to us here regardless. Where do y'all think the tier drop off is at wide receiver? Because I know a lot of people probably see it to be around this Jerry Jeudy, Odell Beckham Jr., Robbie Anderson range. Honestly, I think the tier drop off at receiver is a little bit before that. I think it's right after Jamar Chase. Maybe you throw Adam Thielen in there. But I think the Jerry Jeudy, Odell, Robbie Anderson, I think that they're kind of in a tier below, to be honest. Okay, JN, let's take a note of this. He is drafted only running backs and receivers. Fully Loaded has only drafted one running back, and that running back was Alvin Kamara, so he's going with a hero running back build. So very similar constructions here for Chimichanga and Fully Loaded. Okay, so now let's go through, and Jeff coming in with a massive donation, just saying I deserve it. My man, thank you so much. You guys, I promise you, y'all already show me way more love on these live streams by just coming out, hanging out with me, and doing everything that y'all do than I deserve. I promise you that, guys. I mean, yes, I'm quote unquote sitting here and playing fantasy football a lot, but I'm sitting here playing fantasy football. I'm not doing hard work. I'm not, let's not fool anybody here. It's not like I'm out here roofing houses or anything. We're going to get a McCole Hardman right here. Okay, so McCole Hardman at the 712, mainly just going through, and I really want to kind of read the room with our draft, and based on the fact that we see a lot of teams going heavy with receiver, I think that we kind of want to soak them up before we see. Okay, so these running backs are intriguing, but I think we get a Brandon Cooks. I think this room is going to go heavy on receiver. I think if we pass on receiver here, it's going to be disgusting. So I'm expecting that we have a lot of receivers to go off the board between our next picks. Just by reading the room, and I promise you guys, I've done so many of these drafts, I can kind of tell when someone structures their team like you have with the Chimichanga or like you have with a Fully Loaded, or honestly kind of like Zachary, you know that this is going to be a wide receiver heavy draft room, and the wide receiver position will dry up in a best ball draft way quicker than you would ever believe. Okay, so we have a ton of donations to get to real quick. Jaden coming out says, who wins this trade? DK Metcalf and Jarvis Landry for Justin Jefferson, Darrell Henderson, and McCole Hardman. Definitely Justin Jefferson, Darrell Henderson, and McCole Hardman. Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf are in the exact same tier for me. Darrell Henderson is going to be a clear tier ahead of Jarvis Landry, and I would honestly rather have McCole Hardman over Jarvis myself. So 100% the Justin Jefferson side, take it and run. But thank you again for your support. And Teresa coming out with a donation. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for showing the support to the channel. I promise you guys, coming into the live streams, just dropping the likes and hanging out with me in the live chat. Not only does it make me excited that I can just hang out with y'all in here, but at the same time, I mean, it's literally, I'm just doing fantasy football drafts. It's the best thing I could ever ask for. Okay, so now let's go through, and Gavin says, yo, what do you do as your day job? My man, because of the support on Patreon, I do not have a day job. I mean, I have a day job. My day job is to sit here and do fantasy football all day. That is literally my job. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so Gavin says, if Underdog gave him the money, he would be doing $50, $100 drafts all day. Yeah, guys, if y'all think that Underdog just waives all my fees for these drafts or something, don't you think that every draft that we would do would be a $50 or $100 draft? I don't think every stream we would load up a $5 warm-up draft and everything. That way I can make sure that I'm feeling confident with our abilities. Yeah, no, guys, if Underdog was coming out here and saying, Mason, hey, just fire up as many drafts as you want. We'll pay for all of them. We'll pay for all of them. We'll give you an unlimited line of credit. Then I'll be going through. I'll be like, oh, guys, hey, I got news. We're only doing $50 drafts from now on, of course. But no, that's why I go through and I just give y'all the option to vote and do exactly what y'all want. That's why in this live stream we've done, I believe this is our third $5 draft. Yeah, so a lot of the drafts are $5 drafts, and that's because I do not have an unlimited bankroll, sadly. One day. Okay, so AJ Dillon. See, this is what we were talking about when we went with a McCole Hardman and a Brandon Cooks at this turn here, knowing that receivers were going to go off the board, just kind of reading the room. And you do have this receiver run where now if you go and you look at the best available, It's shifted from where it was a lot of receivers to where now when we're going back up with these picks and about in 7, we're going to have a lot of different positions that we can actually go through and look at. Now, I'll say quarterback's not going to be that intriguing to me. If there's a value that we can't pass up on, of course we will do it, especially if it's at a stack. Like if you look at where we have a Chris Godwin, maybe we decide to go Tom Brady. It's a different bye week than Josh Allen. At the same time, if he is the best player available according to ADP, that could be something we consider. At the same time, we don't have a tight end, so possibly we go that direction. And also, I mean, we can go really any way we want. Wide receivers about to dry up. We can draft 2 more wide receivers and literally just completely deplete the position and make people just reach. Like if you go down here and you see that wide receivers getting very, very thin. So I think we have unlimited options here. We kind of have some more power since we're picking on the end, to be honest. Aaron says, you're the luckiest man alive. I am 100% the luckiest man alive. It's not even close. Like it's so many different factors, guys. Y'all don't know how lucky I am. Okay, Russell Gage, the 907. Henry Ruggs, the 906. Okay, I just, my mind is racing right now with what we can do with this next pick. I mean, these next, like, both of these picks. Because when you're picking at the end, you can kind of dictate the board and you can dictate runs. Like, I think a big thing with us doubling up on Hardman and Cooks is the fact that we kind of made people behind us reach on their players. So Michael Pittman goes. So receivers just completely depleted now to the point where I don't even think we can go through and we can do that much about it. Instead, I think we're definitely taking Zach Moss here. Zach Moss is 100% a pick. We have the Buffalo stack. We're betting on the overall offense. I'm just trying to figure out what we do beyond Zach Moss. We still go with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is going to be sliding for me, and we were drafting him way too high earlier in the offseason. I'm going to take my L on that, considering Zach Ertz does look like he's going to be in the game plan. You do have to drop Dallas Goedert down. But we do not have a single tight end yet. He's by far and away the best value on the board. So we're going to take Goddard. We have Allen, so we don't necessarily want to reach on quarterback. So yeah, we're going to go there. There were a lot of different options we could decide to go. I was really considering if we were going to have people pass on receiver, like if we were going to have some people take quarterbacks here, possibly of doubling up on like a guy like a Corey Davis and a Michael Pittman if they fell to us here and really just draining the entire wide receiver room. But obviously that doesn't happen. And I am so happy now. Looking back at it, if we didn't take a McCole Hardman or Brandon Cooks, we would have been done so in this draft. Okay, so let me go through. I see someone says Mixon or Antonio Gibson. Help, I can't decide. I have some great news for you. Great news. This platform that we are currently drafting on, in my opinion, is the best place that you can draft fantasy football leagues in 2021. And on top of that, if you use promo code FLOCK when you make a $10 deposit so you can get into some leagues, they're actually going to add $25 to your account. And not only are they adding $25 to your account, they are also going through and sponsoring our 2021 draft guide, where you get my draft guide, you get my updated rankings and tiers that update all the way leading to the start of the season. So I got some great news for you, man, my man. If you need a second opinion on any question like that, I mean, you know, it's going to be very easy for you to go out there and get it. And let's scroll to the top of the draft board real quick. Let's show off the top. Then we can go back to the bottom for anybody that is new in the live stream. And we are 17 subscribers away from 30,000. I can't even ask anybody here to drop a like on the stream because we have 555 likes and only 460 people watching it. So everybody here has dropped a like on the live stream already. But hopefully, guys, at this point, all we have to do is hope that the YouTube algorithm helps some beautiful people find this live stream and find the Fantasy Flock Network. That's all we have to do at this point. Ryan says, Mason, is there a $25 option for Underdog private drafts? No, there's not a $25 option for private drafts. There's $25 option for the Best Ball Mania, which is honestly what I play in whenever I'm not live streaming. I mean, that's my favorite thing to do because it's like a game on top of a game and you can get so into the weeds with the strategy behind it. Okay, Joseph says, hey you, with a sticker. My man, thank you so much for supporting the channel, of course. Joseph says, you should be the fantasy grinder instead of the fantasy flock. That would have been a good name, to be completely honest. That would have been a really good name. Obviously, at this point, if we change our branding to the Fantasy Grinder, and then I just like tape over this, like I put like a whiteboard over it, and then like with a little crayon, right, grinder or grinders. Okay, so Mike Gesicki at the 11:02, Irv Smith at the 10:11. Now let me hide my camera real quick and just scroll up. And I kind of want to look back at our previous decisions and seeing if there's anything that we can improve on. So if we go back, you know what? This is something we messed up on horribly. So if we go back to this 6th round where I was debating between a Kareem Hunt or a TJ Hawkinson, clearly the pick looking back on it. Now, of course, we don't necessarily know in every draft how the draft is going to go with wide receivers going off the board. But if we could go back and if we could reverse this and we could get the combination of TJ Hawkinson and then down here get Kenyon Drake instead, I think that would have been significantly better than us flipping the positions and instead going with a Kareem Hunt and a Dallas Goedert. So that is 100% a mistake that we made. That is 100% a mistake that we made. Thomas says we should have taken Jarvis Landry for the thumbnail. No, no, we're fine. People will forget about what the thumbnail is 10 minutes in. They won't even know who the player is. Okay, so James Conner goes off the 11:07. So we do only have 3 running backs in this team. So we can get another running back if one's out of value. It's mainly just going to depend on what's with the board. So Lawrence is falling considerably, I guess, because his one preseason game. Like, are we joking about that? But I don't have any stacks with Lawrence. But value is value at some point. So we're going to have to kind of keep an open mind going into this. Okay, Jamal Williams goes. Jamal Williams would have been someone y'all know I'm considering. Justin Fields goes. Latavius Murray's going to be one of these picks. And then beyond that, I think we possibly go with the Bryan Edwards. Do we go with Latavius Murray, Bryan Edwards? I mean, I don't want to get sucked into the Bryan Edwards hype, but at the same time, they literally sat him for the preseason game. They're viewing him as like in every game starter. I think we'd probably go Bryan Edwards here, to be honest. Adam Troutman or Bryan Edwards. Let's think this through. So at receiver, this is just a wide receiver heavy room. I mean, you really need to make sure that you have receivers that you are expecting to get snaps. So we're going to go with an Edwards here just because if we wait any longer and we just see another 15 receivers go off the board between our next 2 picks, our team will be dead. We'll have no option to go through and bounce back from it. Swaggy says, I drafted Watson. Is that smart? I actually love drafting Watson in very particular formats. So if you're going to be playing in a 1 quarterback league where it's a redraft league for this upcoming season, drafting Watson is the best thing that you could ever do because they're in a 1 quarterback format where you have access to stream the quarterback position. You actually don't necessarily need a floor at quarterback whatsoever. I mean, worst case scenario, you're going and streaming, and just by streaming, you can piece together like a top 6 quarterback season overall. So when we're drafting quarterbacks in a format like that, why you're going to see that I have Deshaun Watson and Jalen Hurts ranked significantly higher than everybody else is because all we care about is upside. I don't care about the floor of a player. If a player goes out there and Deshaun Watson does get suspended, boo freaking who. You cut him, you stream, you find a better option off the waiver wire, and you're going to have the clarity because what happens if instead of taking a Deshaun Watson, you take a Matt Ryan? You're never going to know when to start Matt Ryan. And instead of you going through and getting access to an elite ceiling, you don't have that. Now I'll say in a draft that we're doing here, it's completely different because you don't have the waiver wire. So someone like a Deshaun Watson is just a whole lot less appealing. But yeah, I'll say that in a 1 quarterback redraft league where you have access to the waiver wire, in a worst case scenario, you just go through and you stream the quarterback position, Watson is a fantastic pick. Jane says, Mason is about to hate my picks. Okay, let's go through. Let's see what Jane has done so far. Let's see what he has done so far, drafting from the 105. Henry, Najee, Swift. Okay, so 3 running backs to start it off. Then he slams wide receivers in the middle rounds with Higgins, Judy, Juju, Mike Williams, Elijah Moore, Higbee, Stafford, Tannehill, Everett. Okay, so I really like the team so far. Obviously, you have to be aware of how many more running backs you're going to be taking on a roster like this when you invest your first 3 picks into the position. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence, Matt Ryan. John says, hey, Mason, I know you probably mentioned this before. I'm sorry, but I have to ask, are you going to be updating your roster each week for all these drafts? No, guys, these are going to be best ball drafts. Like I said, you don't do waivers. You don't make start-sit decisions. And that's why it's so good for you to go out there and for you to get these practice drafts in for your main fantasy football drafts that you're really going to care about. Because in those leagues, you don't want to necessarily have to be managing 15 leagues through the season. Because then, I mean, how good of a job can you actually be doing if you don't devote your life to it? And in these best ball leagues, you don't have to do that. So you can just focus in on the ones that you really, really care about, which I love about best ball. And obviously it helps me a lot if I want to go out there and if I think I am very good at drafting, we can go through and we can draft 250, 300 teams. So yeah, I'm going to continue to grind these out. Aaron says, do you know how much the next draft is going to be yet, bro? I'm trying to get in my first draft with you. To be honest, it is about 12:30 with where I'm at, so I don't necessarily know if we're even going to be doing another draft. If we're going to do another draft, though, it will probably be a $5 league, to be honest. It'll probably be a $5 if we do another. But I'm not going to guarantee that we're doing another. Okay, so T Coffee on the clock. He has Kyler Fields. He goes Randall Cobb. Thank God. I just knew he was going Evan Ingram. I really thought he was going Ingram. Okay, so now that we get Ingram, we have 2 very easy picks. We have the Buffalo stack, so we're getting Cole Beasley. And we have Evan Ingram as well. Bam. Evan Ingram, Cole Beasley. That's how it's done. Very easy. Very easy there. Let's go through. Show this off on the left. Ali says, best ball is a draft and start. Nothing else seems difficult but fun. My man, it's not even, you don't even make start sit decisions. Your highest overall possible starting lineup score goes in at the end of every week. So like say you have someone like a Henry Ruggs that in a regular league you would have on a bench, but in a best ball league, if in week 12, all of a sudden he goes out there and he catches a long ball for 80 yards and a touchdown and he scores 16 points, then that score, if it's one of your top 3 receivers, automatically gets slid into your starting lineup for you at the end of the week. So you don't have to do any management whatsoever. Like when I draft this team, I will never see it ever again. And that's why I think it's so good for you to get in this practice with these drafts. And that way, when you get to your real draft, you can just crush your league mates and you can still crush them on the waiver wire and by making start-sit decisions throughout the rest of the year. Woody says, do you consider stacking as important in season-long non-best ball leagues? Yes, sir. Stacking is very important in every league you're in. Robert says, can you explain the exposure process? I will say that for y'all, exposure is not necessarily going to matter that much. Now, I'm going to be drafting in 250, 300 leagues. So let's go and let's look at an example earlier in the draft. And this is something that I kind of have to explain a lot, but I want to be completely transparent because, I mean, 90% of people in this live stream have access to my rankings because they use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. They got my access to the rankings and they're going to see that I'm not drafting my teams based off of those rankings. And the problem is if I went through and I drafted those teams based off of those rankings, there'd be certain players that I'm drafting every single time. Like you go to this range in the 3rd round where say someone like a Terry McLaurin, right? I actually have Chris Godwin ranked over Terry McLaurin. But a big thing is if I was on the clock and every time I was just going purely based off my rankings and nothing else, I would end up with Chris Godwin in about 50% of my leagues. And obviously that is not going to be sustainable if we're trying to make a profit, because if all of a sudden then Chris Godwin goes down due to injury, my entire season is in the tank. So if I really like Chris Godwin compared to consensus, instead of just going off my rankings every single time, what I need to be doing instead is I need to be making sure that while if you just do some quick math, guys, every league that we're doing is a 12-man league. So 8.3% is going to be the average exposure. If you drafted every single player equally, you would own 8.3% of those players across your portfolio of leagues. Now, if I like a Chris Godwin, and I'm not going to be just going through and drafting just off of my rankings, because then I'm going to have them in 50% of leagues. I'm going to have them in 125 leagues. God knows how much money that is. So instead of having them in 50% of the leagues, sometime I will take a Terry McLaurin over him, even though I don't like Terry McLaurin that much. But if I can drive down that exposure where I'm still going to be significantly higher than consensus on him, and instead of having him in 8% of my leagues, 8.3%, I think is the exact number. Let me do the math on that. But anyway, I'll instead have him in about like 22% of my leagues, maybe even a little less than that, maybe like 19. And I'm still twice as high as the next guy on a Chris Godwin, but I'm still balancing it out, making sure that I'm not going to get completely crushed just by one injury. And of course, you can always be right. Yeah, it's 8.3% is the regular exposure. Okay, Walter comes out, says the ZA is waiting. My man, you're going to have to explain that to me. I have no idea what that means. Bloodhound says, what's the Discord link? I will spam the Discord link. It's just going to say join our free group chat. I can copy and paste something over to you real quick. I'll send that out. Okay, so JN takes Colin Johnson, Devin Duvernay, Malcolm Brown here. Why would you not just do this in the last rounds, JN? Why would you do this here? Why would you do this here, my man? Oh my gosh, my man. I'm happy because it's going to make my team better because it's going to push value down to B. But still, my man, I hate to see that for you. I hate to see it. Okay, and another good example of me going through and making sure my exposure isn't out of whack with certain players. Like say I'm on the clock here, right? I actually prefer Austin Hooper over all of these tight ends. We look at ADP. Austin Hooper's going at 185. Here, Jared Cook's going at 166. Ferkshire going at 170. I can't completely ignore that. I have to take that into consideration. Now, with this exact pick, we're just going to go with Anthony Ferkshire. We're just going to go with him as our tight end 3. We're going to be done at tight end. Oh, crap. We have another pick that we need to make. We're going to go James White as a running back 5. We do need a running back 5. But yeah, so we really have to be aware of ADP. Like you're going to find that when I'm in these drafts, you're never seeing me draft players down here because if I'm drafting in 250 leagues, if I really want someone like an Allen Lazard, I'll have the chance to take him when he's the highest ranked player later on in different drafts. So you're never going to see me reaching drastically on a player, to be completely honest, just because we have to be aware of value. Yes, we definitely need to make sure we're going and getting the guys that we like compared to consensus, but we just don't have to be as aggressive on it. Where if you're going to use promo code FLOCK, deposit $10, get $25 on Underdog, and say you want to go through and you just want to use it as practice and you get into a lot of $3 drafts and you do 11 of them. Well, if you're going through and you only made a $10 deposit, so you're only quote unquote investing $10, who cares? If you love Justin Herbert, go draft Justin Herbert in every single draft. You know what I mean? Like it's just too risky for me to do it. Thomas says he would have gone QB. Hopefully that doesn't mess me up, Thomas. We'll see. I'll give my explanation a little later on. Okay, so little Jordan Humphrey at the 1606. Okay, so I guess you mapped it out and you know how many players you wanted to get, JN. I guess that's the case. Aaron says, what time are you streaming tomorrow? My man, I have no idea what time we are streaming. It's mainly going to depend on what time I can get done with my Patreon podcast. So all I will say is make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have the bell hit next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out whenever we go live and you can make sure that you are one of the first people out. Okay. So let me go through and let me check how many subscribers we actually currently have. We are 8 subscribers away. 8 subscribers away. Okay. We are very close. Very, very, very close. Daniel Jones goes at the 1612. Woody says there's actually a dude named Little Jordan Humphrey. Yes, sir. Little Jordan Humphrey. The old Devin Duvernay. The old Devin Duvernay. He's been on the practice squad for the New Orleans Saints for a while. Okay, Josh Palmer at the 1701. Fitzpatrick finally goes off at the 1702. Yeah, at some point you have to say Fitzpatrick's a massive value, and I think that's going to be about the range, to be honest. In says, draft KJ Hamler or Marquez Callaway in a 20-team PPR keeper. Depends how many keepers. If there's a lot of keepers, and we're looking at this as a situation where it plays a little closer to Dynasty, I've been stashing KJ Hamler all offseason in my Dynasty leagues because we like the talent. Whereas if it's a redraft format, I prefer someone like, let me go through and see this. Someone like a Marquez Callaway. Teresa says, how do we see your Patreon podcast? So my Patreon podcast, they're actually me just going through and breaking down fantasy football teams for people that sign up and join the Patreon flock. And yeah, you'll just see them on the view page on Patreon if you are a member of the flock on Patreon. I can send out a link in the live chat right now if anybody is not and would like to be in Patreon. Let me send that over right now. Okay, Steven is pointing out to me that I still have what is the access to our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide available in July in your Patreon $16 tier. So that's essentially if you don't want to sign up for Underdog Fantasy and make a $10 deposit, that's another way that you can get the draft guide. Thank you for letting me know it's still worded in that way. So I know that we need to go through and we need to change it. Okay, so Takashi69 here is going to make it where it looks like Thomas was right. We have to kind of sit here. We have to take our L. And yeah, we can't really do anything about it. Actually, no, he maybe saves us. Yeah, so Thomas, check this out right here. Carson Wentz is going to be one of these picks. Now, we have 5 running backs. Our receiver core isn't strong enough to only go with 7 receivers, so we're going to go Wentz and we're going to get another receiver. Most likely, we're just getting Darius Slayton. Yeah, we'll just draft Darius Slayton here. Okay, I'm excited about this team. I really like how we kind of made the right call. Ooh, that is a bad look right there. But we made the right call here by drafting double wide receiver. I think really that's the only standout thing from this draft, in my opinion. It is our first draft ever from the 112. So let me go to the top of the board real quick. Show everybody the top. Josh says, roast me from the 9 hole. Let's look at Josh's real quick. 4 running backs in a row. Andrews, Lamar. Obviously, when you take Andrews here, you just love to see Lamar Jackson fall to the 6th. So if you get this gift handed to you, it's going to be hard to mess up a draft. But let's go look at the rest of it. Fuller, Jarvis, Davis, Moore, Sanders, Callaway, Watkins, Amara St. Brown. Okay, Hooper is your only other tight end. I think you should have gone with another receiver over Watson. Because let's play through this scenario real quick. If Watson comes back, yes, that's a massive boom. But on a team where you already have Zach Wilson and Lamar Jackson, is it really making that much of a difference? You're taking on a lot of risk for not that much reward. Like if I'm drafting Deshaun Watson, I honestly want to be drafting him in the Million Maker contest and just drafting him as saying, okay, well, if he comes back, we're only going to be drafting one other quarterback. So we're going to have the ultimate access to his ceiling play. So Watson, I don't think he fits the team. Other than that, I really like it. I just would have preferred to see like a Dwayne Eskridge here. Would have been perfect for the roster. Okay, considering, guys, it's literally 12:30, and I'm going to have to go through, and I'm going to have to send everything up. Gabe's asking to scroll up. I'm scrolling this up. Y'all can tell how tired I am. But I need to go through. I need to send out all those draft guides. So I'm going to be sending them out right now. Anybody who used promo code FLOCK and made a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy, shoot me a DM on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Patreon, wherever. If you want our 2021 draft guide, all you have to do is send me the email that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with and say, Mason, listen up here, you bum. We can tell that you're balding. You need to send us that draft guide. And I'll just say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Send it over right away. And also I'll send over that link to our free fantasy football group chat for anybody who has not joined yet. Keep in mind, guys, that you do not need a credit card. You don't need an email. Literally just click the link, type out your nickname, whatever you want to be called, and then you're in the live chat. You're in the group chat. There's like 4,000 people in there. I'll send this out. Thomas says, did you get 30,000 subs? Sadly, no. But it'll be there by the time we wake up. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do another draft. It's 12:30. I have a lot to do tonight. I have a lot to do tomorrow. But anyway, let me send that out to everybody. Thank you, my dudes, for coming out to the live stream. Thank you so much. We got this stream over 600 likes. That is absolutely massive. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. And have a great day.